back is only 5'7". So from the 35, the Bucs will spot the ball, and Igwe will boot it away as we're about to start preseason game number 3 here on Channel 44. Next week, the coach, Hank Stram, and I live Miami, Florida, Don Shula's Dolphins. Here we go as the Bucs look for their first win of 1986. Line drive into the end zone. There will be no return. And the crowd expected to push the 50,000 mark roars their approval.
That's the kind of a kick you like, because they have to start on the 20 instead of the 35 or 40, and it makes a tremendous difference because of the long distance you have, of course, to score. And they can't use everything in their offense when they start off on the 20-yard line.
Speaking of the offense, missing, of course, the diesel, the veteran, John Riggins, who is retired, but George Rogers in his place, and expected second half, the USFLer Kelvin Bryant. The offensive line, the Hogs, as they are known. They are big and they are beefy. The answer to where's the beef. 1st and 10 for the Skins from their own 20. Schrader gives the ball off. Powers around the left side. Jacoby blocking for George Rogers, the veteran out of South Carolina. Veterans now for the defensive Buccaneers. John Cannon, Carl Morgan, of course, in there for the injured Dave Logan. Ron Holmes, and of course Lehman Bennett looking for more of a pass rush from the front 3. The linebacking core, and they're molding into a good unit. Keith Browner, Jeff Davis, Scott Brentley, and Chris Washington. In the secondary with 2 rookies, Rod Jones and Craig Swope, each with an interception a week ago. Ivory Sully and Jeremiah Castile on the corners. Jeremiah Castile pressured, though, from Bobby Futrell and Ricky Eason. Schroeder gives it off to George Rogers. He dives to the 26. It's 3rd and 4. Scott Brentley in there on the tackle.
They love that play, counter tray, they call it, with the left tackle and the left guard, Jacoby and Russ Grimm. They follow Highway 66 and 68.
Jacoby 6'7", 305. You said he was large. That's a condominium. You could subdivide him. Joe Jacoby, the injured Washington Redskin, number 66, in his 6th year out of Louisville. He had his 55-game streak stopped last year with a knee injury. I remember meeting Jacoby their second trip to the Super Bowl and seeing him in the locker room. He is about the biggest human being I've ever seen.
Yes, he is. But along with that, of course, he's a great player. And ironically, he played with my son at the University of Louisville, little Stu. And really didn't play that much at Louisville, and went on to enjoy front-page success as a professional football player with the Washington Redskins.
You had some pretty big guys at Kansas City for a while there. Buck Buchanan, Ernie Ladd.
Oh, we really did. We had a big offensive line with Jim Tyre, Ed Buddy, and, of course, Dave Hill on the right side. But we had a big, strong group.
3rd and 4 for the Washington Redskins. Jay Schrader, the youngster, taking over for Joe Theismann. Schrader, of course, out of UCLA. Motion across by Monk. Blitz is on. Schrader unloads, incomplete, and pressure put on by Chris Washington, blitzing from the right side.
Chris Washington gets a good jump. Great anticipation. You see him come in on the left side of the screen. There you see him. Gets his arms wrapped around the quarterback, Schrader, and throws him to the turf. And now the Washington Redskins are in a kicking situation.
That is Steve Cox in his 6th year out of Arkansas, who is back to do the punting, and back to return Leonard Harris, number 18, known as Automan. Harris, of course, coming over from the USFL. We'll see action on specialty teams, and they'd like to get a good look at Leonard as a wide receiver. Across the 25, dances to the 30. Hammered down at the 34-yard line. A return of 9 after a 52-yard punt. And the Bucs, led by the veteran Steve DeBerg, break out 1st and 10 at that point. Offensively for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're your backfield. Steve DeBerg, Wilder, number 32, expected to go maybe a little longer than a quarter and a half tonight. Ron Springs, number 20, will get a good workout. The wide receivers are 89 Kevin House and 87 Gerald Carter. Offensively up front, Jimmy Giles, the starting tight end. Powell, the tackle, along with Ron Heller. The center, Randy Grimes, and the guards are George Yarno and Rick Mallory. Good field position for Tampa Bay. They start from their own 34-yard line. Wide receivers left and right. The backs are split. House to the top of the screen and Carter to the near side. DeBerg airborne on first play. Blitz. He picks it up. Giles was wide open at the 45. But with Neil Olkowitz in his 8th year out of Maryland crashing through, DeBerg had to unload early.
Well, that time they had a switch between the right tackle. Instead of playing over the left guard, he played over the center. And Olkowitz, who normally plays over the center, was over the left guard, and he blitzed on the play, got a clean shot before he had a chance to do anything at all with the ball.
The 4-man defensive front of the Washington Redskins. We talked about Dave Butts in the center, number 65. They're the linebacking core. The Redskins play a 4-3. Olkowitz in the center. He's the man that was blitzing in the secondary. Green, Dean, Cherry, and Curtis Jordan. Jordan, of course, former Buccaneer. DeBerg airborne on 2nd and 10. Wide open in the middle. First down for Jimmy Giles. Out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Curtis Jordan, one of the original Buccaneers, beaten on the play, a pickup of 38 yards.
They use a lot of man-for-man coverage, and the pass protection that time was excellent. And Jimmy Giles breaks down the middle and breaks out to the outside and is finally tackled by Curtis Jordan. I couldn't tell whether they were in man-for-man coverage. If it was man-for-man, Raphael Cherry, number 37, was responsible for the coverage on the play and missed.
1st and 10 from the 28 of the Redskins as DeBerg picks up where he left off last week against the Falcons. On the reverse, Carter tripped up but beats his man and will turn a 9-yard loss into, well, he gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Vernon Dean, in his 5th year out of San Diego State, came over from the corner spot to upend Carter. So the Bucs, their first 3 plays, they come out passing, then a little trickery on the reverse, and Lehman Bennett not at all conservative to open up in this first series of downs. Last week, DeBerg 10 out of 17, 1 interception, 102 yards. But, of course, he had that touchdown toss of 12 yards to Calvin McGee with just 22 seconds left in the first half. There's what Steve did in 1985 before yielding to Steve Young in the last 5 games.
Here you got bump and run again. They ought to try to do something on top with those outside receivers.
Incomplete at the 20-yard line. Looking for Jimmy Giles. Ken Coffey on the coverage. Speaking of Jimmy Giles, you were over at Jimmy Giles Optical again yesterday. More free lenses.
Well, I tell you, he's done a great job with that optical business, and he's forsaken the chauffeur business that he was in, the limousine business, to spend more time on football and also the glass business. So, and they're really doing a good job. Really is. They do super work there. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, I'm glad he's out of the limo business. I think last year it was kind of tacky of you to insist on a limo to drive you from New Orleans.
Wasn't from New Orleans. He wanted me. I wanted to have him drive me back.
5 defensive backs are in for the Redskins. They're caught off sides. DeBerg.
He's got to try.
Sacked at the 33 by Charlie Mann out of Nevada Reno, a 3rd-round pick of the Skins in 1983. Now, the Skins were offside. Let's see if they were drawn offside. Mann might have been the man who moved.
I think it was on the Washington Redskins. Look at right up the middle. Wilder does a good job of picking up the blitz, but he gets caught from the backside by Charlie Mann, number 71.
Number 71, offside. 3rd down, will be replayed.
There is Charles Mann. Bob Frederick, our referee. 11:35. Clock is stopped on the penalty. Line of scrimmage, the 23 of the Redskins. It's 3rd and 5 for the Bucs. DeBerg sends Gerald Carter wide to the right. Slotted out at the top of the screen is Phil Freeman and Kevin House. Freeman seeing his first game action. Motion by Phil Freeman will go the other way. Backpedaling DeBerg. Unloads. Dropped at the 8-yard line. Incompleted pass. Dean Hamill out of Tulsa had his arms around DeBerg, and we'll see Donald Igwebuike.
I watched Mallory that time, their right guard, number 68 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he did an outstanding job of blocking Dave Butts that time, kept him off the quarterback on the line of scrimmage. But I watched him specifically on the play, and he did good work.
The Slidell slinger, Alan Risher, will hold. Hash mark to the far side. Will spot it close to the 30-yard line. A 40-yard field goal try. 1 for 1 so far for Donald in his 2nd year out of Clemson. Snap, spot, kick is perfect. The Bucs are on the board on their first drive. 11:09 left to go in first quarter here in Tampa, and the Bucs lead the Redskins 3-0. Goal try by Igwebuike, and the Bucs' first possession.
See the difference, really, that the kicker the last time kicked the ball into the end zone against Washington. They had to start on the 20. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got the ball approximately on the 40, so they gained 20 yards on the exchange of field position, was a dramatic difference, and as a result, they were able to take the ball in and get some points. See what happens here.
I hope the people at home take some notes, because there are a couple of key points that the coach feels strongly about. Kicking into the end zone is one. You can't win without a mobile quarterback is another. Igwebuike, a little shorter this time. It'll be returned from the 5-yard line. James Noble, one of the upbacks, dives across the 15 and is upended at the 17-yard line. And the Bucs, ignited by that Igwebuike field goal, fired up on specialty teams. There is Jay Schrader. Of course, a different situation for the young man out of UCLA. Last year came in right away in the game that Theismann was injured against the New York Giants. Rounded into form, but this year, Hank, he knew he was the starting quarterback.
Well, the great thing about Schrader really is the fact, he's 6'4", he's a big lumberjack, 215, and he's an athlete, and he was a terrific catcher. He tried out in the big leagues, and in a Class A league for Toronto, like a lot of guys, couldn't hit the curveball.
The tight end motions to the near side. Schrader pumps and fires, line drive, and he's got Art Monk out on the far side right in front of the Washington Redskin bench. And Art Monk, 6 catches, 127 yards with a 21-yard average so far in preseason.
Davis blitzing on the play, 58. They got 1-for-1 coverage. He throws a hitch pattern, and the hitch pattern was thrown low, and it's very important to throw that pattern low, because if you throw it high, there's always a chance for an interception. You throw it low and he misses it, it goes right down to the ground. So the ball was thrown perfectly on that last play for that kind of a pattern.
Gary Clark wide to the top of your screen. Art Monk comes to the near side. Redskins look at 2nd and 4. Rogers, the lone running back. Backpedaling is Schrader. Got his man over the middle, and a Redskin first down to Don Warren, the tight end out of San Diego State. Craig Swope, the rookie out of Illinois, who had a 36-yard interception return for a touchdown last week against Atlanta on the coverage.
He read the coverage very well that time. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in a zone, and the middle area against the zone is usually very vulnerable. That's exactly where he threw the ball to Don Warren. And as a result, why they have a 1st and 10 situation.
At the 33 of the Redskins, Schrader sends Monk wide to the left side. Clark comes to the near side.
They ought to do a little business on the left side here. They're going to throw the ball. They got one-on-one. They're going to run it.
Nothing happened to the left side for George Rogers. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, and John Cannon happy to be in on his first tackle in preseason action.
There was a leak there, and Cannon came through there on the. Both guards were right guard and right tackle were pulling left on the play, which created a hole for Cannon, and he took advantage of it. The other thing about Rogers runs much better from the I formation when he's back there 7 yards than he is from a halfback position where he has to run across the pattern of the defense.
Kelvin Bryant, the rookie out of North Carolina, officially an NFL rookie, of course a veteran of the USFL, seeing his first action. Schrader fires, got his man at the 43. Gary Clark again. Rod Jones, the rookie out of SMU, who also had an interception last week for Lehman Bennett's Bucs, on the coverage.
There's a zone again that time, and the one-on-one on the backside. Good protection, throws the ball outside, and Jones comes up, but of course late after he made the catch. 3rd and 1.
Hank, one of the things, Schrader reminds you of Theismann, utilizing the short patterns. The Skins content to nickel dime you.
Yeah, but that's Joe Gibbs' philosophy, and that's the way they move the ball, a high percentage kind of an offense.
Close to first down yardage. Jeff Davis stacks up George Rogers. Blocking on the right side by Mark May out of Pittsburgh in his 6th year. Jeff Bostic, the 7-year setter out of Clemson.
Well, they made the first down. I tell you have to be impressed with the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have played extremely well in the 2 games we have seen, and they seemingly are getting better and better. There's good competition with their linebackers and defensive backs, and I think the shortcoming really right now, it has to be their defensive line.
Not in terms of playing the run, but in terms of pass rush.
That's right. Putting pressure on the quarterback.
1st and 10 for the Redskins. Wide receivers left and right. Monk to the near side. Clark top of the screen.
They got a one-on-one on the right side this time.
Dive play by Rogers. A couple of Clemson graduates, Jeff Bostic and Jeff Davis, going nose to nose. John Cannon out of William and Mary in his 5th year on the tackle.
That's one thing I can't understand. I think you get one-on-one coverage so many times in a game, and I think when you get it, you ought to take advantage of it regardless where you are to try to make a play. because it's very, very difficult, you know, with one-on-one coverage. And I think sometimes they'll throw a ball out there by accident, and then they still maintain the same kind of coverage, but they never go back to it often enough. And I think that's a big mistake that's made by a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of people who call plays during the course of the game. There you got it again on the right side. Look at it.
Monk motions across. Schrader on 2nd and 7 sets up the screen, and it's batted down. Keith Browner out of USC. He is 6'6", 245, and he got those lumberjack-like arms up in the face of Schrader.
See, he's blitzing on the play, and watch Browner, number 57, come in on the left side of your screen, leaps high, and knocks the ball down, and almost came up with the interception. And as you mentioned, he's 6'5" and 235. And I really think, I mentioned it yesterday to the coaches, just an observation, I feel that Browner has been playing much, much better in preseason games this year than he was a year ago.
Well, he told me a couple of weeks ago he came in with a new attitude. Of course, a change in defensive coordinators helped, but last year their defensive scheme, he said, was so confusing it changed every game. Once you mastered it, it was too late. Almost intercepted, and it's picked off at the 30. The volleyball drill. Ivory Sully with the INT to the 43 of Tampa Bay. The ball was batted up in the air, deflected from the intended receiver at about the 43-yard line by one of the Bucs, and Sully came up with it at the 30. Watch the volleyball drill.
There again, you see, when you throw the ball in the middle area, this can happen if it's not thrown low enough. See, it goes right over the top. There is tipped by number 51, Chris Washington, and Sully makes the interception and takes the ball down to about the 44, and they have good field position again. The last time they started on the 40, this time on a 44.
The only Buck in the starting secondary without an interception so far in the preseason now is Jeremiah Castile. Sully comes up with one. Swope and Jones had one last week against Atlanta. 1st and 10 after the interception. DeBerg to James Wilder. Travels the left side, nothing doing. Stopped at the original line of scrimmage, the 44-yard line, by Dean Hamill, who is in his 2nd year out of Tulsa. 6 sacks, 63 tackles last year for the Skins.
Now, there was a good illustration, you know, of the left side of the offensive line not making any kind of a push on the defensive line of the Washington Redskins. And that's what we talked about earlier about, you know, you learn an awful lot about your offensive line and your people, and you play against a fine team, talented team like the Washington Redskins.
Grimes the center, Mallory and Yarno are the guards, Heller and Powell are the tackles. 2nd and 10 for the Bucs. Wilder, the lone running back. Quick read by DeBerg, tries the left sideline. Penalty flag is down. Pass interference against the Redskins. Vernon Dean.
See, there again, that's the kind of thing you have to do. They automatically look like they were in bump and run defense, and even if you don't complete the pass, you've always got a chance for this to happen. You see, they got a blitz on, 1-for-1 coverage. Look at, he throws the ball, good protection, throws the ball downfield. There's pass interference on the play.
Defensive pass interference.
He knocks him out of bounds on Vernon Dean, and they have a big 1st down. You see, so that's what I was talking about a minute ago. When you have that situation, I think you have to go up on top and try to make the big play. If you hit it, I think you're going to have about 10 or 12 big play opportunities in a game. If you hit 3, you got 21 points.
Hank, are there some quarterbacks that are better than others at reading that one-on-one, the way the defenses try to disguise things today?
Well, you know, some are, yes, but most teams, they squeal it pretty much, and it's easy to interpret because the safety men usually on bump and run are up there a lot tighter, and there's no way they can help the corners. So it's obvious, you know, unless you got the blinders on, you ought to be able to see that and get the ball up on top.
Not much doing over the middle for Ron Springs, who came into the game with only 5 carries, 16 yards.
I guarantee you one thing, you're not going to beat this Washington Redskin team running the football and playing high diddle-diddle up the middle football. You got to throw the ball to the outside people because they play so much one-on-one.
Springs gets his 2nd consecutive carry, and he is grabbed up by Dave Butt, 6'7", 295, 14 years out of Purdue. His ring size is about your shoe size.
Yeah, it's like they carved out a manhole cover and kept the outside of it and put it on his finger.
Ron Springs in his 6th season out of Dallas, one unproductive season with Tampa Bay. He's 29 years of age. He wants to get the ball more tonight. And I think, to be honest, the Buccaneers coaches want to get a look at Ron Springs. They're looking for another back to complement James Wilder.
But in the process, they want to win the game. They haven't won a game yet, and I think it's very important for this young team to administer a little lump to somebody. Oh,
big
nice
hole. James Wilder, first down and more.
Boy, Heller, the right guard, the right tackle that time, Heller, came through the hole and made a beautiful block. This is a counter tray play. Look at the right guard, Mallory, is pulling. Watch 73ing Heller. Look at right, go through the hole. The block was set up beautifully by Wilder, and he makes a nice big gain on the play. But here again, look at the good move by Wilder that sets up that block. Watch Heller. Watch, he makes a move outside that sets up the block, then cuts inside and picks up another 10, 12 yards on the play because of the move.
One of the things that the coaches say about Heller, he is the Bucs' best lineman, but he doesn't always play that way.
Well, talking to him yesterday, I think he's at a stage where he realizes what his obligation is, and I think he's going to play much better.
After a 12-yard carry by James Wilder, DeBerg finds James out of the backfield, and he carries the lumber down to about the 10-yard line in the grasp of Neil Okowitz, the 8-year veteran out of Maryland.
This is a check pattern. Watch Wilder now come out of the backfield. Watch him. There he is, right in the middle between the linebackers, and he hits him right in the open area between the hash marks, and that's the property that he was trying to enter in and make the catch, and it was open beautifully.
There is what James Wilder did last year, of course, for Tampa Bay. Wilder, 2 preseason catches for 8 yards coming into this game. 2nd and 5.
Well, you got a bump and run on the outside, guys. Now let's see if they try to go up on top, what they try to do. Go to the tight end.
Incomplete, looking for Jimmy Giles on a turnout pattern in the end zone. Darrell Green covering in the right corner. Boy, you had a mismatch there. Green is only 5'8", and of course Giles is 6'3".
But actually what happened, Green was working on the flanker, and when the ball was thrown, reacted. He has such great reaction that he reacted to the ball that was thrown behind him and made a play on the tight end. But he had no responsibility whatsoever as far as coverage on the last play. That was responsibility of the strong safety.
Barry Wilburn, 2nd year out of Mississippi, checks in as the 5th defensive back. Phil Freeman, 81, in the wide receiver spot, slotted top of your screen. Corner out, batted down. Right corner, Vernon Dean. 5th year out of San Diego State, Kevin House, the man who was open but briefly.
Well, I tell you, Vernon Dean did a super job that time of knocking the ball down. It looked like he had a chance, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there he came. Vernon Dean, the right cornerback. Watch him leap high. Kevin House was actually behind him, but he leaped very high and knocked the ball down. Beautiful play by Vernon Dean.
So the 2nd field goal try for the young man out of Clemson, again out of the hold of Alan Risher. Again, the hash mark far side from the 28. It is good, and the Bucs are on the board again. Tampa Bay leads the Redskins 6-0. 2:57 left to go in quarter number 1.
Even with all you do to stay healthy, you may be overlooking something.
And a nothing return surprisingly turned out pretty well.
Well, there again, they're in the soup. The last 3, they've had the ball on 3 occasions. Started out on a -20 to -17, and now what? The -18 or 17.5. So the specialty teams have really done a super job of containing. And I think any time that you play on a shorter field than the other team plays on, you should win the game. And so far, that's why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are winning the game, because they're playing on a much shorter field than the Washington Redskins.
The book on Jay Schrader out of UCLA so far tonight. That interception picked off by number 44, Ivory Sully. Slot to the top of the screen. Monk motions near side. Safety valves it out to George Rogers. Rogers breaks it up near the 29. That's a first down for the Washington Redskins. George Rogers, Kelvin Bryant, Jay Schrader, and by far the most potent ground game that the Bucs have faced all year.
John Cannon really made a good move here, and I don't know how Schrader got the ball by him. Watch him. It looked like it went right through him and came out the other end. Look at the good block out in front by the right guard, Ken Huff. It wasn't Ken Huff. I think it was McKenzie. Yeah, it was McKenzie who pulled out of there that time and really made a great block on the cornerback.
He played in New Orleans for Bum Phillips. George Rogers, now a Washington Redskin under Joe Gibbs.
Look at one-on-one on the right side. Well, they're going up the middle.
Not much doing. Carl Morgan, number 67, in his 3rd year out of UCLA, filling in for the injured Dave Logan. Logan expected back maybe next week against the Dolphins, and Hank and I will be in Miami. That game live on Channel 44.
I talked to Logan yesterday, and he indicated that the elbow was coming along nicely, and indicated that maybe he would be able to play a little bit next week, but he thought for sure he'd be ready when the bell rings against the 49ers.
There is Dave on the sideline with that injured right elbow all wrapped up. Schroeder now 4 out of 7, 36 yards and 1 interception. Motion by the tight end. Schrader rifles one, and it is picked off at the 40. That is Craig Curry. Curry into Redskin territory, dances down to the 38.
Jeff Davis was blitzing on the play, and Schroeder threw it falling away and way over the top of the offensive people, an interception. Watch it. Look at the rush now. Look at Davis, 58, coming off the block and making him throw the ball before he wants to. Throws it way up high, and the ball is intercepted that time by Craig Curry,
who played all 4 defensive positions while he was at Texas. Graduated 8th out of a class of 500 in high school with a 4.2 average on a 4.5 system.
Here again, you talk about field position. This is the 3rd time they've had it. This is the best field position they start on, and I would feel that they'd really want to get the ball in and get 7 points here.
Backs are Springs and Wilder. Motion by Carter, top of the screen. Big hole right side and diving down to the 35-yard line. Off the bottom of the pile, that is Ron Springs. Olkowitz on the tackle.
Mallory does a good job of blocking Olkowitz that time. Number 68, the middle linebacker, was moved over the guard position, and he got a good push on Olkowitz, and for that reason why they were able to run right up the middle and make a nice gain on the play.
There is Springs and what he's done in the preseason so far. It's 2nd and 6 for the Bucs. Carter motions back near side. Wilder maybe back to the line of scrimmage in the grasp of Steve Hamilton in his 2nd year out of East Carolina. 2nd round pick by the Skins back in '84. He is 6'4", 265.
Interesting stat. Wilder is such a great running back, but he likes to run from the I formation and runs much better when he's in the middle of the formation than he is from a halfback position. I think in all the years he's been running the ball from the tailback spot and going straight ahead, he's averaged 5 point something. Going sideways, it's about 3 point something. Big difference in the personality of his running style when he's in the I formation or when he's in a natural set.
Well, the Bucs will have a little bit of time to talk over their 3rd and 6 situation. It's been all Tampa Bay in the first quarter. 2 field goals by Donald Igwebuike, and it's 6-0. The Bucs leading the Redskins.
It's important that they keep this drive alive and get 7.
Slot to the left side. 1-1 coverage, top of the screen. DeBerg goes for it all. Looks for Jimmy Giles. Penalty flag is down at the 20-yard line. Kevin House was being tied up by Vernon Dean, so there's a flag to be checked at. And Bob Frederick, the referee, will tell us what the situation is. DeBerg says it's against the Redskins. Automatic first down, so the Bucs keep the drive alive. Vernon Dean called for either defensive holding or pass interference. There is the veteran tight end, Jimmy Giles, number 88.
Defensive holding, number 32. First down.
There is James Wilder, who last year for the Bucs carried 365 times out of 434 Buck offensive plays from scrimmage. So that shows you why they're looking at other running backs to give James a bit of a rest and diversify the offense a bit.
Here you got a good shot. You got one-on-one coverage again, and they like to play man-for-man coverage.
Wilder dances to the outside. First down for Tampa Bay. Vernon Dean saved a touchdown.
That time Marvin Powell and Yarno had to do a good job of coming off the ball. Watch it. They get Hamill. Look at, they control Hamill. And the linebacker is also involved in the play, but he gets blocked. The left linebacker, or right linebacker, I should say, Rich Malott, number 57. Good job of blocking by Yarno and also Marvin Powell.
Line of scrimmage, the 19. It's 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay out of the I-Pro set. Carter and House split wide, left and right. Wilder running north-south, cracks it down to the 13-yard line in the grasp of Vernon Dean and Ken Coffey.
Watch the left tackle. Look at Yarno, does another nice job, and so does a 74, Marvin Powell, both of whom do a good job of coming off the line of scrimmage and making something happen.
Lehman Bennett says George Yarno is kind of a blue-collar kind of a guy. He rolls up his sleeves and gets the job done, and of course he's versatile. He can play tackle, center, and guard. 2nd and 5. Slot to the left side. Springs, flanker wide to the right. Backpedaling to Berg. Incomplete at the 7. Legs got tangled up. Jimmy Giles looking for a flag, but none was thrown. Mel Kaufman there in the coverage. Kaufman said, hey, we just ran into each other. Steve DeBerg, who's been through the quarterback battles so many times. He's done this with Joe Montana, with John Elway in Denver. So fighting for a starting spot for DeBerg. Coach, nothing new.
Old hat, and he's got a great attitude about it, and he feels very confident about his attitude, about his ability to play. And you know, you can't worry about something you can't control. If you're playing well, do the best you can. You have to wait for the decision of the coaches to be made when time comes, and that's all he can hope for.
Lehman Bennett said DeBerg, though, had edged ahead in the quarterback battle. Phil Freeman in, number 81. He's motion top of your screen on 3rd and 5. DeBerg, post pattern, touchdown! Gerald Carter.
That time they had Barry Wilburn, the second-year guy, playing on the left corner. Played his collegiate football in Mississippi. They like him very much, but watch it. Man-for-man coverage. Look at good protection. You got to be pressed with that. Look at, he throws the ball on a quick post inside, and Carter licks Barry Wilburn easily. Touchdown. And that's got to be very, very comforting to the coaching staff and the players. It was important to get 7 points, and they got it.
Out of the hold of Alan Risher. Igwe Pique with a big night has 7 of the 14 points up there, or 7 of the 13 points up there now for the Bucs. Gerald Carter makes his first preseason catch, a big one.
He's a boy.
Boy, you talk about being on a trolley line that time. It was a low. It looked like he kicked it in a YMCA. With that low ceiling, he got it out of the end zone, and that's what you like. Now they start on the 20-yard line again, and so far they started on a -20, 17, 17, and now on a 20. And the Washington Redskins have had to travel 246 yards on their 3 drives, which is a lot of real estate, and that's why they're losing the game so far. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have played on the field 159 yards long, so you can see why there's a dramatic difference in the outcome so far.
Monk at the bottom of your screen, top of the screen, the second-year running back and wide receiver out of James Madison, Gary Clark. On the carry, George Rogers hammers his way up to about the 24-yard line in the grasp of the rookie out of Jackson State, Jackie Walker, and the coaches are very high on that young man.
Well, they have every right to be, and I guarantee you he's going to play a dominant role in the future success of this football team because he's a great-looking prospect. I'm surprised, very frankly, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been able to hold this team like they have. They've done a super job defensively and their specialty teams, and that's why, again, they're winning the game so far.
George Rogers, first down and more to the 35. Rogers to the 40, down at the 41-yard line. Blocking on the left side by Raleigh McKenzie and Dan McQuaid, and Kevin Murphy prevented a touchdown, 16 yards and more.
Ron Holmes got stuffed that time. Look at Holmes. He's on the ground, and that's why there was an opportunity to run like he is. Jacoby really did a number on Holmes. Watch it. I don't know whether we see it well. We don't get a good chance to see it very well. But along with that, why number 63 came over and did a nice job of blocking. 73, I should say, Mark May.
1st and 10 for the Skins. Schrader throws the dart. Monk behind him at the 45-yard line. He was open. One of the things Lehman Bennett was enthused about in facing the Washington Redskins was facing number 81 Art Monk. He thought it would be a very good test for his linebacking core and his young secondary.
Well, you know, that's true, but I think the determining factor in the way you play defensively is predicated and based on how much pressure you put on the quarterback. I don't care how good you are back there in the secondary. If he has all day to throw the ball, you're going to be in trouble. So far, they've done a pretty good job not getting sacks, but harassing the quarterback so it makes him throw the ball poorly.
Keith Griffin out of Miami of Florida, number 35, the ball carrier. Trap over the right side. Bowls his way up near the 48-yard line, and Kevin Murphy out of Oklahoma, along with Scott Brantley, the veteran out of Florida, in there defensively for the Bucs.
Here's the counter tray play again. The counter play with the guard and the tackle pulling. and this time Keith Griffin carrying the ball, and they pick up another nice gain on the play.
3rd and 3. Monk coming wide to the right side. Clark top of your screen. Schrader has not worked much with the Skins tight ends. Kelvin Bryant, 24, is also on there at slot. Didier, the tight end, motions near side. Backpedaling is Schrader. Fires incomplete at the 47 of Tampa Bay. Great defensive coverage by Scott Bradley. He wrapped up Kelvin Bryant. Well, is he back from those shoulder problems of the last 2 seasons?
He indicated, talking to him the other day, he said he felt great, and he's playing like he feels great. He's very excited about the scheme defensively. He thinks that Jim Stanley has done a terrific job so far. He likes what's happening. He likes the morale and attitude of the defensive team and the old team, and he thinks they're going to play extremely well.
I think Scott Brantley and Jeff Davis are emerging as your defensive on-field leaders. Leonard Harris, Automan, number 18, signals for a fair catch, and it sails on into the Bucs end zone. So the Bucs come out with good field position. They'll start from their own 20 after that 52-yard punt. 11:06 left to go in the first half here on Channel 44. Hank and I
test, see how well they do from this position on the field from the 20-yard line.
James Wilder turns a 3-yard loss into a 4.5-yard pickup. Wrestled out of bounds over on the left side. Blocking by Rick Mallory, number 68, in his 2nd year out of Washington. A 9th-round draft pick. The coverage by Ken Coffey.
Watch the left guard pulling on the play. It makes a beautiful block. That's Mallory. Nice hole. The right tackle goes through the hole in good shape, and he also makes a fine block. And I think that on that last play, I think the right tackle was Martefeld, number 77.
A rookie out of Maryland, 6'6", 300 pounds, 5th-round draft pick. Would have been much higher, of course, were it not for the Hodgkin's disease.
I was wrong on that. It was Heller, the right tackle on the play, 73.
DeBerg wide open is Kevin House. The Bucs, all-time leading pass receiver, pulls down a big first down at the 42-yard line of Washington.
Play action fake up the middle. Plenty of time. Look at this pass protection. You got plenty of time to step and throw. House goes right into the post. Look at Vernon Dean, number 32, coming over to make the play. But again, excellent pass protection on the part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Marvin Powell was in the picture and controlled the defensive end in good shape and provided a passing lane for DeBerg. And he was able to step up into the pocket and throw the ball right on the money.
4,722 yards for Kevin House. Big hole for James Wilder. First down, he's off to the races at the 22. The offense of the Buccaneers completely dominating this game against the Redskins. Vernon Dean prevented a touchdown.
Watch the takeoff. Watch Mallory, Yarno, and also Grimes coming off the football. Okowitz goes beyond the play. Big hole up the middle, and he's finally tackled by the backside by Vernon Dean, number 32. I tell you, they're doing a terrific job of controlling the line of scrimmage. That's what's going on right now, and that's when you win the war, when you control the line of scrimmage.
They're just firing off the ball. Grimes, Mallory, Yarno, Heller, and Powell. A little flare out. That is Calvin McGee had the touchdown catch with 22 seconds left in the first half a week ago. Curtis Jordan spins him out of bounds. DeBerg is red hot.
That time the middle, watch Okowicz, 52, blitzing on the play. They pick him up nicely, get the ball outside, and he's finally tackled there again. But not until Curtis Jordan made that tackle, number 22. But they're moving the ball extremely well.
There is Calvin and what he's done so far in the preseason. Big number 86, a free agent signed on last year out of Southern. 2nd and 3. Wilder again, rambles again, dives inside the 10. 1st and goal. Okowitz submarined him down low. Jordan made the tackle secure.
That's the nice thing about a 4-3. If you get the middle linebacker out of the picture, what they're doing right here, look at this. Okowitz looks like he's going through a revolving door, number 52, and they're cutting behind the block of the middle linebacker, and there's a lot of real estate right up the middle, and that's what they're taking advantage of right now.
8 carries, 60 yards for James Wilder, and there's a man who's shell-shocked right now, Joe Gibbs. He can't believe it. 1st and goal, just inside the 10. House and Carter, the wide receivers, left and right. DeBerg will work the corner, fires in the left side. It is picked off in the end zone by Ken Coffey. off. He decides to return it, and he is out at the 18-yard line. A 9th-round draft pick in '82 stepped right in front of the intended wide receiver.
They're trying to hit the tight end Giles on the play. And he's covered very, very well that time by Coffey, number 48, who makes the interception. He should have just been satisfied to down the ball in the end zone. He would have had it on the 20, but I don't think he knew exactly where he was, and I think maybe he thought he had a chance to run it out of there for a big play. But at least he got the ball for the interception, and now the ball's on about the 17-yard line for the Washington Redskins.
But with a 13-0 lead, the Buck fans don't mind. They're even applauding. We'll be back after this timeout.
Hey, Vern, hurry up with that pizza pie, buddy. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are about to come on 62 WSUN. That WSUN, Vern, has got more sports coverage than the 4th grade's got spitballs. WSUN, Vern, they are on the ball. Is that pizza pie ready yet? You know, Vern, there's nothing like the Bucks, my sun country, and a good hot pizza pie. Vern, what's these dead miners doing on my pizza pie?
26-0 in the 3rd quarter. We'll update you on that game.
Standing in. Will airmail it quickly. Fires out. Got Monk at the 30. Driven backwards, but it's a Redskin first down. The 7-year wide receiver out of Syracuse. A first-round draft pick back in 1980. Ricky Eastman, number 26, the second-year man out of Florida on the coverage.
Eastman playing man-for-man coverage there this time. Look at it. Good pass protection. They curl up in front of Eastman. Eastman is concerned naturally about getting licked deep on the play and comes up to make the tackle.
Coach is getting a good look at the cornerbacks. Castile is out. Eastman and Futrell will see action later.
Futrell is in the game right now. It's right corner.
Schrader unloads, finds Monk over on the other side, and he is hammered out of bounds at the 43 by Bobby Futrell. Free agent signed on, 5'11", 190 pounds.
This is the unusual thing about Schrader. He can run to his left. Look at the way he throws that ball, moving to his left. A beautiful throw right at the numbers. It's unusual that a big guy like him can do that, but he did it extremely well. Penalty on the play.
Illegal man downfield.
Number 60 lost it down. Lost 10 yards.
Dan McQuaid out of Nevada, Las Vegas, traded from the Rams last year, 6'7", 285, filling the large shoes of the injured Joe Jacoby right now at the left tackle spot. Was downfield on that play, so it cost the Redskins some big yardage. It's 2nd down and 20.
Jacoby last year was out for a while with a bad knee, and I don't know for sure what transpired on the injury situation, but he might have re-injured that knee in the early phases of this game.
Clark wide to the top of the screen. Wide to the right is Monk. Bryant, 24, is in for the Redskins. He's got the ball. Misdirection to the left. Breaks it outside. Fumbles the football down at the 23. The Bucks recovered, but it was blown dead. Kelvin coughed it up on his first carry of the night. Chris Washington covered the loose football, but the officials ruling that Bryant was down before the ball popped out.
Here's a draw play. Running to his left. Ball in the wrong arm. That's why he fumbles. See, he gets it hit. Great back like Kelvin Bryant running to his left with the ball in the right arm. And I just mentioned that because I think the young people who are playing football and are halfbacks and ball carriers, they should be aware of that. You got to carry the ball away from pressure. And here's a great back like Kelvin Bryant running to his left with the ball in the right arm, and it creates a fumble situation.
If you were drafting either Herschel Walker or Kelvin Bryant, who would you take a shot at? If you get either one.
You know, that would be a tough decision. From what I've seen of Kelvin Bryant, I would be a bit surprised that I would have taken him.
Looking for Monk, and it is batted down at the 37-yard line by Ricky Eastman, who is going stride for stride with number 81, Monk. Buck fans applauding a good defensive effort. And suddenly that secondary of Tampa Bay last week against the Falcons, tonight against the Skins, looks awfully tough.
The timing of the jump was extremely good that time for the young defensive back, Ricky Eastman, number 26.
Don't you think a lot of times that the fans would much rather see youngsters that are going to make some mistakes, that will play aggressively, that have the instinct to get in there?
Well, I think it's like going to the Golden Gloves and watching a pro fight. I think they love to see the amateurs play because they know they're going to do the very best they can. They lack maybe some experience and moxie when they initially start, but they get their money's worth, and I think that's what they like. Fans like people who are giving their best and are dancing every dance.
3rd and 17. Monk comes wide to the near side. Clark is at the top of the screen. Schrader looks over that defense of Tampa Bay. They're in a nickelback situation with Eastman, Fisher, and Futrell.
Well, they got to throw the ball inside if they're going to throw it. There it is.
Open over the middle is number 87, Terry Orr, the rookie tight end out of Texas, and he gets chopped down at about the 28-yard line. And a punting situation again. Steve Cox out of Arkansas trots out.
That time they had a 3-deep situation. Look at, and the middle has got to be open, but they say, fine, we'll give you the middle. We'll make the tackle before you can make 11 yards. And so what? So the call was great, and they reacted extremely well to the thrown ball in the middle area.
Easy mathematics. 2 for 52 for Steve Cox. Leonard Harris, Automan out of the USFL, dancing feet. He's got very good quickness. Will return. From the 28-yard line, the Bucs have been in total command. A 45-yard punt by Steve Cox. Good field position for Tampa Bay. We've got 5:24 to go before halftime. The Bucs lead the Skins 13-0.
It's the semifinals, round 2 of the Tournament of Champions on Star Search 86. Join host Ed McMahon as the eliminations begin in a search for the winners of the world's greatest talent hunt. There's $100,000 at stake in each category. And before it's over, $1.5 million will be awarded to America's best new performers. Catch the superstar competition. Be there and discover the winning stars on the semifinals, round 2. Star Search 86.
Sunday night at 8, following Buccaneer football.
Presenting a great free offer from Pizza Hut. Here in this picture. Just order any medium or large Pizza Hut pizza at regular menu price and you'll receive a free pitcher of Pepsi. Or order any medium or large Priazzo Italian pie and receive a free pitcher of Pepsi. A free pitcher of Pepsi. Only at Pizza Hut.
Building with the Bucs.
John Cannon for Beacon Homes.
5 miles offshore. This year, things a lot different, and so's the score. Tampa Bay up 13-0. 5:24 left to go before halftime. House wide to the left. Carter top of your screen. Backs are evened up. Springs and Carter. Check it. Springs and Wilder.
And they still got their #1 group in there, the offense. I'm talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
DeBerg fires incomplete at the 45-yard line. Alvin Walton, the rookie out of Kansas, all over Jimmy Giles.
And the defensive line for the Redskins is still the same, except they have Tom Beasley playing left tackle instead of Butts. Everybody else is still in the contest.
DeBerg now 5 out of 13, 97 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. James Wilder 8 carries, 61 yards. We'll see Nathan Wansley in the second half. It's 2nd and 10. The double tight end alignment, Jimmy Giles and Calvin McGee. Wilder the lone running back. Gets the call, dives over the right side, nothing doing. In fact, might have lost a yard. Dean Hamill, whose nickname is the Transmania Devil, 6'3", 275 from Tulsa. Met Wilder head on.
You know, that time they try to trap the area. They've had great success blocking it straight ahead, man-for-man blocking, letting the middle linebacker run out of there. That time they drew the attention of the middle linebacker with a down block, and as a result, they responded very, very well to that trap.
5 defensive backs are in now for the Redskins. Barry Wilburn checks in as the nickel back. DeBerg looks over the Skins defense, slot to the right, single coverage wide to the left on House. Phil Freeman motions, goes back the other way. DeBerg unloads, incomplete at the 33-yard line, looking for Jimmy Giles, and Monty Coleman covering him like a blanket.
Yeah, Monty Coleman has great speed. He's a linebacker they put in on passing situations, number 51. And I tell you, he's like a defensive back. He covered him extremely well on the last play, and that's why there was no chance for a reception.
First time tonight for Frank Garcia. There's what he's done in the preseason. The Bucs have scored on all of their possessions until now. And back deep, that is number 31 for the Washington Redskins, Kenny Jenkins, in his 4th year out of Bucknell.
See, that time they didn't have good field position, and that makes a tremendous difference is where you start the drive.
Garcia, who lettered as a quarterback and a defensive back in high school, back to do the punting. Hangs it high, gets it to turn over. It backs Jenkins up to the 20. 25. Fights his way to the 31. A 51-yard punt by Frank Garcia. 4:21 left to go in the first half. The Bucs 13, the Redskins a goose egg.
Open all the time.
Schrader fires, deflected at the 45-yard line. Man was open for a moment. Terry Orr out of Texas, a 10th round draft pick. Brantley got the arms up and batted it away.
Watch the protection. Quarterback looking at what happens defensively. Watch Brantley take his drop and reacts extremely well to the quarterback. He's watching the quarterback as he drops back. He reads his direction and got great anticipation on the ball that time and knocked it down. Great play by Scott Brantley, number 52.
Monk and Clark are your wideouts. Schrader, passing situation, trailing 13-0, backpedals. 2nd and 10. Man is open, misfires, deflected again. Looking for Marvin Williams out of Fullerton State. Terry Orr on a crossing pattern. 3rd and 10. And you know, Hank, you look at the Bucs defensive scheme of things. They've only allowed 2 touchdowns now in 2.5 preseason games.
Well, talking to Jim Stanley the other day, he indicated that he was very pleased, and so was Lehman Bennett, about the way they're playing defensively. And I think the enthusiasm that's been generated by the young people, especially the linebackers and defensive backs, has created a great competitive situation. And I think anytime you have that kind of a situation, why you're going to improve, and there's no question about the fact that they're better.
Let's see if the Bucs will blitz. Terry Orr in motion, top of the screen. The backup tight end. Schrader fires, got his man at the 43-yard line. Art Monk, he dances to the 44, and that's a Redskins first down. Mike Pryor, number 24, in his 2nd year out of Illinois State, and Kevin Murphy on the coverage.
And Pete Caton is also in the game, a designated rusher, number 71. He played in the United States Football League for Houston, I think it was, and in the 30 games got 30 sacks. He's not very large, but he's a designated rusher. They like him very much. I don't know how he'll be able to rush in this league, but he comes very, very highly recommended. Art Monk, who's deployed wide to the screen, 62 of his 91 catches last year for the Redskins for Washington first downs. 1st and 10. Safety valves it out. Penalty flag is down in the backfield of Washington. Kelvin Bryant stutter steps to the 40, changes direction, dives to the 30. I think he made a pretty good pick, Bryant, instead of Herschel. Well, I tell you, Jerry Rome, who works with the offense for the Washington Redskins, a great quarterback for SMU when he was in college, he said today on the field before the game, he said, "Coach, you can't believe."
Really to use the hands on the defense, and it will be declined.
First down. Go ahead, Coach.
He said that you just can't believe what a great back this guy is. He does everything extremely well, catches the ball, runs the ball, everything. And he said he's just a fantastic player. Now look at the move he makes there. You talk about a ghost. It looked like he was hemmed in that time and finally made a move back into the inside of the field and picked up the necessary yardage for the first down. Great running by Kelvin Bryant. There's what he did in 3 years with the Philadelphia/Baltimore Stars. A great organizational effort by Carl Peterson. 1st and 10. Orr. There it is again. Same play. Kelvin Bryant again. Look at the feet. Great defensive effort at the 32-yard line by Bob Nelson out of Miami of Florida. And Bob Nelson is playing on the nose of the center now. Watch him respond now. Look at him play off the block. Goes around the block, and look at this is hustle. This is all it is great hustle. Comes way back from the inside. Look at this, and he makes the tackle.
And that's something that'll show up on the films. The coaches will notice as Nelson gets his 2nd shot with the Bucs, waived last year. Another try perhaps this year. 2nd and 11 as Schrader looks over the Bucs defense. 2:19, 2:18, 2:17 left in the first half. Didier goes the other way. Batted up and caught at the 19-yard line. Art Monk. How's that for concentration? That's why he's a great receiver. He was watching the bouncing ball all the way. I'm surprised he threw it there. Look at this. He throws it into coverage. Look at that. Right over the top of the linebacker. Just knocked into the air, I should say. But Monk maintains concentration and makes the catch. And really a good play by the young defensive back, Ricky Eastman, number 26. Clock is stopped. 2:04 left to go. Redskins with all 3 timeouts left. The Bucs have 3 timeouts remaining. Line of scrimmage, the 20-yard line, and it's hash marked to the near side as Monk deploys wide to the right. Clark, top of your screen. Kelvin Bryant, the only running back.
Watch Bryant if they throw the ball here. Now he's going to run across the formation.
Coughs it up. The Bucs have it at the 15-yard line. John Cannon fell on the loose football, playing in his first game with those dislocated toes, and there's the big guy.
It looked like there was a bad exchange. I don't think Kelvin Bryant ever had possession of the football. It looked like there was some hesitation, but Cannon made a great hit. Let's take a look at this again on the replay. Let's see if we can find out whether he's got it up. You don't see it. You can't see it.
Almost looked like he wanted to throw the ball or was trying to fake throwing the ball.
Well, no, I don't think. I think what happened, he never really had a chance to get the ball well, never put it away, never tucked it away, and for that reason there was some indecision. And by the time he made a decision, why, he got a shot from the inside by John Cannon, and the rest of it was his history. It was the bye-bye Blues.
We're at the 2-minute warning. Cannon was carried 3 times for 10 yards tonight, 5 times for 16 yards prior to that. $300,000, a lot of money to sit on the bench. DeBerg hands the ball off to Wilder, who dances back to the line of scrimmage. Back to the Ron Springs story, Coach. He said, this dog can't hold on if he doesn't have a bone. He talked to Lehman Bennett on Friday morning when he got back to Dallas. He wants a chance to carry the ball. But I think the coaching staff feel he's lost a step and maybe more.
I tell you very honestly, in all fairness to the running back Springs, I think it's very difficult to assess the running back if he only carries the ball 2 or 3 times in a football game. I mentioned this last week, and I'll mention it again without trying to not to be too repetitious, but basically, you know, all the great backs say that they like to carry the ball 30, 31, 32 times a game, and they really starting to get in the flow of the game after they carry the ball about 15 times. So if that's the case, why, there's no chance in the world for a guy like Springs to get in the flow of a game and get any kind of timing or rhythm if he only carries the ball 3 or 4 times. And that's always a touchy situation. And Joe Gibbs has the same problem now with Kelvin Bryant and George Rogers. Rogers likes to carry the ball 30, 35 times. The way the football game is played today, you're going to pump the ball up 30 times and throw it and run it 30 times. Now, if you got 2 great backs, that means one's going to carry 15, the other 15. So right away, you reduce the efficiency of both guys, and they're running in that area where they're just starting to get warmed up, and they're out of the game, you see. So it's a dilemma.
2nd and 10 from the 15. DeBerg unloads, looks for McGee, who tries to one-hand it at the 43-yard line. Springs, just back from Dallas after a trial, bit of a delay, paid a $200 token fine for a 2-year-old assault case, and his teammates took adhesive tape, some strips to the front of his locker cubicle to give it a prison bar look. They put up a sign that said convict. Ronnie changed it to almost convict.
He almost was thinking about wearing one of those black and white suits.
Have his picture taken.
You know, I like the looks of Calvin McGee. At one time, they tell me he weighed 300 pounds. I tell you, he's got great hands, soft hands for a big guy, and he catches the ball extremely well. Plus the fact that he's a loose tackle playing tight end. He's a good blocker.
Grant and Cook in the backfield with Steve DeBerg. Steve is 5 out of 16, 97 yards, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown. Let's see if the Redskins were drawn offside. Back to Ron Springs for a second, Coach, because we probably won't see him much in the second half, expecting to see Nathan Wansley, who had such a great game against the Falcons. How would you evaluate Springs preseason in terms of what the coaches expected?
As I mentioned earlier, it would be very difficult for me to assess that because I haven't seen enough of him. You just can't run. You know, a running back has natural talent and skills, and they have to be nurtured by being able to play. And if they run the ball 3 or 4 times, why, there's no way in the world that you can measure that skill, because the good ones get better and better as the game progresses. You run 3 times, forget it.
I'm going to nominate you for the United Nations. 3rd and 5. DeBerg picked off at the 25. In the middle of things, that is Ted Bowles, the rookie. He'll score. Ted Bowles is out of Temple. Missed half of last year with a broken arm. Signed on by the Skins as a free agent. Comes up with an interception and takes it in for the touchdown.
You see, that's what happens. You're 13 points ahead. It looks like you got a pretty good cushion, but actually you're 2 plays away from being back in the game. And here's one of them right here. He makes the interception in the middle and puts it into the end zone. Todd Bowles, B-O-L-E-S. He matriculates it right into the end zone. 6 points.
And he ran it in pretty well, too.
Not only that, he ran it right in there.
Out of the hold of Schrader, the veteran. Mark Mosley puts it through. Mosley fighting for his spot on the roster, the 15-year veteran out of Stephen F. Austin.
Great illustration, again, what we talked about a little while ago. Bad field position, you see. And any time when you're in that situation and you try to throw the ball in the middle, you're always asking for trouble, because it's much better to throw the ball in the area of the hash marks or the numbers rather than in the middle, because what happens is if you throw it poorly, there's always somebody back there waiting to make the interception. That's what happened. And now they're just 1 play out of being back in this contest and maybe taking a lead if they score again, talking about the Washington Redskins.
There you see the offensive unit of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You saw that shot of Steve DeBerg, who now has 2 interceptions on the night and 1 touchdown toss. Steve did say at practice the other day he thinks that the Bucs are going to be so much better offensively because of the addition of Marvin Powell at left tackle, and George Yarno can go back and play at the guard spot.
I tell you, I'm really impressed with both Yarno and Mallory. And also you have to talk about Randy Grimes, who's playing the center position. You can't run the ball up the middle unless the center and the 2 guards are doing a good job, and they've all done a super job. Talking about all the linemen so far in this contest, they have done an outstanding job of blocking good, big, strong people.
There is Nathan Wansley, whose brother Otis was a Washington Redskin until late today. He was put on waivers. Steve Cox is the 6th year out of Arkansas, spots it at the 35, and the sidewinder approaches. Wansley is back deep. It is high, it is end over end, and Wansley takes it at the 7-yard line. Bombs away up to the 20, and that's where the Bucs will start from, 1st and 10. Talking about Steve DeBerg, he's still listed on the program coach at 210 pounds, but Rick Odioso, that maven of nuggets for the Bucs, said that he thinks that Steve has redistributed his weight just a little bit. He's stronger in the upper body, and Steve says, yes, I am throwing the ball better this year with more zip on it. The receivers will verify that.
I think that's probably true. You know, he spends a lot. He's a very, very conscientious guy, and he loves being in the Tampa Bay area. Spends a lot of time working out and doing other things in the community. And he spends an awful lot of time looking at films, and he does everything he possibly can to prepare himself for the upcoming season. And that's why he reads coverages and gets the ball to the right guy most of the time, as good as anybody in the league.
You know, you talk to the coaches from the John McKay regime to the Lehman Bennett regime, and they say of Steve DeBerg, he's perhaps one of the most intelligent quarterbacks they've ever been around. Excellent student of the game.
Well, I remember doing a game when he played for the San Francisco 49ers, had a broken jaw. They had to wire him up. I forget who they were playing, and talking to Bill Walsh, and he said, we just have to have him in a game because he knows what we're doing so well, reads coverages as well as anybody I've ever seen, and gets the ball to the right guy. We've got to play him in the game. And he played the game with a broken jaw and played extremely well.
DeBerg says he has to win the quarterback job just like E.F. Hutton, the old-fashioned way. He has to earn it. He's been through it before with Montana in San Francisco, with Elway in Denver, and now he's going through it with a $6 million man, Steve Young, here in Tampa Bay.
The great thing about it, though, is he's attacking the problem with a great attitude, and I think any time that you possess an attitude like he has, you always have a chance.
Wansley at the 10. Down at the 26. Bucs ball from that point. 1:19 left to go in the first half, and a 6-point lead for Tampa Bay.
I talked to Wansley the other day, and I asked him who his heroes were when he was a kid. And he said, well, basically my brothers. But he said, I always had a great regard and high respect for Walter Payton, Dorsett, and Herschel Walker. 3 pretty good backs.
Well, I'll tell you, talk about his brothers. Leanna May Wansley's boys, Alexander, Larry, James, Otis, George, Leroy, Nathan, Hose, Mark, and Robert. That'll fill a meal table up, won't it?
Well, they had 9 boys and 2 girls. That's 11 in the family. So you better have pretty good escapability ability with that kind of a group, because somebody's always chasing you.
You better get to the buffet first.
That's right.
On the carry, that is Wansley, the rookie out of Mississippi. Talk about their dinner table. Nathan said it was hard for her mom, but she fed us all pretty good. A lot of fried chicken, a lot of greens, a lot of black-eyed peas and rice, and a lot of red beans.
Can you imagine how the sparks were flying when they went after food with a knife and fork? It's a wonder somebody didn't get burned.
Next Friday night, the Bucs meet the Dolphins from the Orange Bowl, exclusively and live on Channel 44, your Bucs station here in Tampa at 7:30. Randy Scott hosting Countdown to Kickoff. Then Hank and I will kick off the action at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Looks like a great game. It's Hank's buddy Don Shula and his Dolphins against Lehman Bennett and the Bucs, live on Channel 44. You're going in about Tuesday, aren't you, to play golf and get ready?
I think I'll need more time than that. Maybe Monday.
You're going to take that canoe along when you play Doral?
Just take the oil.
There's Kevin House in the foreground. Coaches have to be enthused after his performance here tonight. Kevin, I think we can be fair in saying, is not having an outstanding camp, and they were looking for him to turn the burners on a bit.
Well, here again, you know, how many times have they thrown the ball to him? I watched practice the other day, and, you know, I think they threw the ball to him twice in the entire practice. So here again, you know, how many times does he have an opportunity to express that ability? That's very important. And all of a sudden you look at the stats and say, the guy hasn't done anything, but he hasn't had a chance to do much.
You're dancing more tonight than you did at the Bay Harbor the other night. DeBerg finds Jimmy Giles. Out of bounds at the 47 of the Redskins. Kevin Williams riding herd.
Misdirection. They've been running that counter play, that counter trade play. Look at the guard and the tackle pull. The other guy goes the other way. The right guard, the quarterback, goes the other way. Look at how wide open Giles is. He makes the catch, is able to make the catch in stride, and is finally knocked out of bounds by Kevin Williams, number 34.
There is Jimmy Giles, the veteran tight end. Big night for Jimmy out of Alcorn State. 43 catches, 8 touchdowns last year.
He looks a lot faster since he got that haircut.
He does. He's got that Carl Lewis haircut. He's a sprinter now. The intended receiver was Kevin House, who was upended at the 27-yard line. The fans want a penalty flag called on Kevin Williams, but none will be thrown. 1:02 remaining. There is Kevin House, averaging about 17.2 yards per catch in his 7 years since coming out of Southern, a second-round draft pick of Tampa Bay back in 1980.
I wonder how many times they had to turn the pencil sharper to give Giles that haircut. 3 or 4, 5 or 6.
They put that right in the Veg-O-Matic, didn't they? Second down and 10. DeBerg wants it all, goes up top, incomplete at the 5-yard line, looking for Kevin House on a fly pattern once again. Well, DeBerg tossed that one 50 in the air. It was right on the money, but Williams did a pretty good job of nudging Kevin House out of Southern Illinois.
Williams almost blew the whole thing, too. When he was chasing him down the field, he took a little sneaky look back into the backfield, and just enough of a look. Had the ball been thrown perfectly, it'd have been all over. But typical of a rookie mistake, instead of watching the man for man like he was supposed to, he took a peek, but he got by with it.
There is Steve DeBerg, proven passer, very popular leader. Time left and 3 timeouts for Tampa Bay on 3rd and 7 from the 47.
Boy, look at the middle.
Phil Freeman goes the other way. DeBerg backpedals, looks over the middle, man, incomplete. I think Gerald Carter that time saw what Hank heard. That was number 22, Curtis Jordan, applying the cement. Well, a year ago with Washington, we had Hurricane Elena. Tonight we have the blackout. Where were you when the lights went out? We're at halftime. The Skins trailing the Buccaneers 13-7. We'll be back on Channel 44 after these messages. Number 18. Well, a year ago with Washington, we had Hurricane Elena. Tonight we have the blackout. Where were you when the lights went out? We're at halftime. The Skins trailing the Buccaneers 13-7. We'll be back on Channel 44 after these messages. Number 18, Leonard Harris, formerly of the USFL, and Nathan Wansley. the rookie number 46 for the Buccaneers, formerly out of Mississippi, are back deep. 13-7 starting the second half. The Bucs looking for their first preseason win. And we're underway in Tampa Bay. It's a line drive squib kick, hits at the 7, fielded by Wansley at the 4. Dances to the 20, and look out, Wansley breaks it big, out of bounds at the 39-yard line in the grasp of James Noble. A 38-yard return for Nathan Wansley, who until today had his brother playing with the Washington Redskins. He breaks it to the outside to the right.
Here we start with good field position right off the bat for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They averaged in the first half having to go from their minus 36-yard line. That was the average with 7 possessions, and they start right here on the 39.
Phil Freeman is in at wide receiver. He's in motion top of the screen. The handoff to James Wilder, who dances and dives across the 40 up near the 42 in the grasp of Charles Mann, number 71, 6'6", 270, a third-round draft pick of the Skins back in 1983. There's James Wilder, who for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 10 carries, 60 yards, his longest 19 yards in the first half for Tampa Bay.
Lehman said yesterday or the day before that he would play his top people about 3 quarters, and evidently he feels that's exactly what he's going to do because the top people are in the game right now.
There is Steve DeBerg, the book on him in the first half, 6 of 19, 122 in yardage, 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown. Dropping on 2nd and 7. Fires. Got his man at the 45, and that is Mark Boatner, number 34, out of Southeast Louisiana. A 6-footer, 220 pounds. Ken Coffey on the coverage.
They definitely want to see Boatner in the second half because they want to see what he's going to be able to do. The ball was right on the money. Now that there again, there's a great illustration. Had that ball been thrown a little higher, he wouldn't have had a chance to make the catch. Probably would have been tipped, but the ball was thrown perfectly right at the letters, or the numbers, I should say.
What'd you do? Watch the baseball game this afternoon?
Nope.
3rd and 3. DeBerg, open man is Calvin McGee, drops the ball at the 30. That's a live football. Skins cover it and will start 1st and 10 at their own 23. Ken Coffey fell on the loose football. Alvin Walton, the rookie, caused the fumble. Watch number 40 come into the picture after the catch.
And that ball is thrown just perfectly right up on top. He started to bring it down, and right about the time he was bringing it down, he got swiped out of there. And by Alvin Walton, and Coffey recovered the fumble.
13-17 left in the 3rd quarter. There is Coffey, who recovered the fumble. And let's check. The quarterback remains Schroeder out of UCLA. Motion by Monk, top of the screen. There goes George Rogers, big hole over that right side by Mark May, the 6-year right tackle out of Pittsburgh, and Jeff Bostic, the 7-year center out of Clemson. Chris Washington, the 3rd-year linebacker out of Iowa State, pulled down Rogers, who had 8 carries, 34 yards in the first half. There is Ivory Sully meeting him head on. Little mismatch there. Sully, number 44, a 6-footer, 200 pounds, beating 230 pounds and 6'2" George Rogers. 2nd down and 3 as Monk and Clark deployed wide to the left side. Rogers, the lone running back out of South Carolina, came over to the Skins in a trade with the Saints last year. He gets the call, blocking on the left side by Dan McQuaid, in for the injured Joe Jacoby, and Jeff Davis out of Clemson on the hit.
Rogers has a tendency to fumble the ball an awful lot, Jim, as you probably know, and especially when he's running to his left, because he always carries the ball in his right arm, and that time it popped loose, but the ball was declared dead. But Rogers always runs left with the ball in the right arm.
Brantley out of the lineup now for the Bucs. Erwin Randall checks in. Brantley went out holding his right knee. Some other injuries for the Bucs were just brought up. Kevin House out with a sprained foot, and Craig Swope has a bruised shoulder. Neither will return tonight. There is Schroeder out of UCLA. And the stats on Jay in the first half: 10 out of 19, 101 yards. He had 2 interceptions, his longest completion for 25 yards.
You know, talking to Joe Gibbs this morning I asked about George Rogers and Kelvin Bryant, and you'd think a coach would be ecstatic about having both of them. And everyone that's got two great backs, they're all very, very concerned how they're going to be able to use them. And that was Joe's concern when I talked to him about both people today.
Play action fake, man open is George Rogers, and he cracks it across the 40, dives down at the 42-yard line. Randall out of Baylor, a third-round pick last year, in there on the defensive coverage along with Keith Browner.
That was a play action fake, and they dumped the ball right into the middle area to Rogers. They don't throw to him very much, but I think in the short zones where he doesn't have to reach for the ball, why I think he does a good job of making connections and making catches.
Line of scrimmage, the 41 of the Redskins. They trail by 6, 11-14 and counting in the third quarter on 2nd and 3. Motion by Didier. Rogers bounces like a bowling ball backwards, surges forward up near the 44 in the grasp of Jeff Davis, who coach is emerging as the defensive leader, more vocal this year than last. He said at practice last week, you and I, he's no longer afraid of stepping on toes.
I think if you're going to assume leadership responsibility, you know, you can't worry about winning a popularity contest. You have to do what you have to do to help your team win. And I think he's grown to that level. And this is what he feels about his responsibility from a leadership standpoint this year.
Interesting that Jeff also said that he's trying to impart to some of the younger players the importance of studying that playbook. He said the younger guys come in and they really don't realize how important it is to get that playbook down perfectly. From the 44, a first down for Rogers. Didier motions near side. Schroeder will put it up. Schrader. Didier thrown down around the ankles, and when you're big number 86, those are a long way to go. You're 6'5" to reach down there. Chris Washington on the coverage. Didier had to bend down and try to pick up that loose ball from Schrader. So it's 2nd down and 10. Clock is stopped on the incompleted pass. 10:25 left to go in the third quarter. There's what the young Bruin out of UCLA has done tonight. That's Terry Orr in motion top of the screen. Schrader unloads, incomplete at midfield. Jeff Davis back there on the coverage.
I can't get over how bad Schrader looks here tonight. The last time I saw him play, he was very decisive, very sure of himself and under control. He doesn't look that way at all tonight. And the funny thing about it was, talking to Jerry Rome before the game, he was just ecstatic in his praises of how good he was doing and how great they expected him to be. But he's having a bad night so far tonight.
You know, Coach, the Bucs defense still has only given up 2 touchdowns in over 2.5 football games. The only touchdown tonight put on by the defense of Washington.
Here they got a 3-deep situation again, so they're going to have to throw the ball inside someplace if they're going to hit anybody. Creates a problem.
Schrader misses Monk at the 43-yard line, tried to lay it in there, threw that one on a rope.
I tell you, that's a good concept, because when the quarterback looks at that defense and sees 3 deep and double coverage, you know, he's trying to scratch his head a little bit, trying to figure out where to throw the ball. And there was another good illustration. He had to try to force the ball between two receivers, and unless you throw it perfectly, it's going to be incomplete.
There is Steve Cox and what he has done, and there is Automan Leonard Harris. 2 returns, averaging 7 yards per kick. He picked up the nickname Automan while he was with the USFL Denver Gold. Lets it hit at the 23-yard line. It bounds out of bounds at the 22. And that's where the Bucs and Steve DeBerg will start 1st and 10. 10:07 left to go in the third quarter. The Bucs lead the Redskins 13-7. Hank and I will be back after this timeout.
$189 per month puts you in a new Cutlass Sierra from your local Sunshine Oils dealer.
Uniform number 34. That was the uniform that Bo Jackson would have had he not gone on to baseball. Boatner out of southeast Louisiana in along with Wilder. That's Boatner, motions across. Wilder on a dive play, not much doing. And the tackle made by Big Dave Butts. Rich Malott, 57, ordinarily a right outside linebacker from Penn State, now playing the middle linebacker spot.
I think they were a little concerned about the way they ran up the middle behind the middle linebacker, and I think they're experimenting a little bit with trying to look at Malott inside to give him a little bit more strength, a little bit more help in that area.
Bodner motions across the other way. And Wilder rambles to the 25, dives to the 26, and is upended at the 27.
Wilder, as great a back as he is, he does not run from a halfback position nearly as well as he does from the I formation. The difference really is depth. In the I formation, he's lined up about 7 yards deep, and from the normal halfback spot, he's about 4. Doesn't give him nearly as much time to react and respond to what he sees as it gives him when he runs from the deep formation with the single back or the I formation.
James Wilder, what he has done tonight, would like a little more recognition around the Tampa Bay area. Told us at practice the other day, he goes into a supermarket, people recognize him as probably being a football player, but they don't know his name.
Look at that middle. Look at that middle from a run standpoint. They're trying to blitz, see if he changes the play. He does. There it is.
Quick read to Calvin McGee. Same play, fumbled the last time, pops it up, and a big pile up at the 43. The Skins get it. Barry Wilburn out of Mississippi, an 8th-round draft pick. Alvin Walton, the rookie, causes the second consecutive fumble. Watch number 40 after McGee coughs it up for the second straight time.
I tell you, this is a beautiful throw. His man-for-man coverage. He had to get it right on the spot, and he did, but he was hit that time, and the ball was popped loose, and now the Redskins have possession on the plus 45.
DeBerg laid it in there perfectly. There is Wilburn out of Mississippi, who recovered the fumble.
You see, the great thing about it was a great throw, but the great thing, first things first, he read the coverage perfectly and got the ball to the right guy.
Schrader from the 44 of Tampa Bay. Best field position for the Redskins. Bootlegs, fires. He's got Monk out of bounds at the 35, close to a Washington first down.
Here he moves the pocket, and here from a big guy, he goes right down the field, makes an outside move. The defensive back is way off of him, and for that reason, he's able to make the catch and pick up very close to a first down, 2nd and 1.
4 catches, 42 yards, the longest 12 yards for Art Monk in the first half. He's deployed wide to the left. Clark comes to the top of the screen. Schrader looks in, works with Keith Griffin out of Miami of Florida, number 35 in the backfield. He gets the call, hurls for a first down for the Skins, upended at the 33-yard line by Erwin Randall. In for the injured Scott Brantley, who left holding on to his right knee. First down, signals referee Bob Frederick. Jeff Bostic, the veteran center out of Clemson, working with a kind of patched up offensive line for that man. Joe Gibbs of the Washington Redskins, Mark May, McKenzie. There's Richie Pettibone, an old friend of the coaches on the sideline. Saw you chatting with Richie before the ball game.
Looks like he's been eating well.
He's in that buffet line, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
1st and 10 for the Skins. Griffin stays in at running back.
Either that or he went to the filler station, got pumped up.
Keith Griffin dives down to the 30, picks up 2 at 2nd down and 8 in the grasp of Erwin Randall and Jeff Davis. Schrader staying in at quarterback. Everybody, of course, wondering, Coach, when Doug Williams will see his first action.
I think once he starts to do something, I think they'll take him out of there. I'm sure they're waiting for him to get in a groove and do something special, which he hasn't done so far. They've got to be disappointed in the way he's played in this game.
Wide receivers left and right.
Look at the rotation to the left. If you're going to throw the ball, you got to do some business to the right. Whoop, he's running over here to the left, right where the defense was, and he got the ball out there in good shape in spite of it.
To Art Monk, and another Washington first down. Mike Pryor out of Illinois State.
Pryor is playing the right corner, number 24.
You know, the thing that Lehman Bennett says about Pryor, Hank, he's smart. He can play either free or strong safety, but he doesn't have the God-given talent of a Rod Jones.
I was wrong. Rod Jones was playing that corner that time, and Pryor was trying to come over and help out.
We've got a timeout on the field. 7:02 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Bucks lead the Redskins by 6.
Building with the Bucks.
John Cannon for Beacon Homes.
Here in Beacon Country, they build winners every day because Beacon knows you want more than just a house. You want a place to call home. We're building winning.
Yard line of Tampa Bay. Schrader has the Redskins on an impressive drive after that second consecutive fumble by Calvin McGee. Jay is 13 of 25, 128 yards, but 2 interceptions.
I think if he gets them in on this drive, why, I think they'll get the hook. And Doug Williams will come in after the... McQuaid. Dan McQuaid, 60, playing left tackle for the injured Jacoby. Offside on the play.
All kinds of pushing and bumping going on. We've talked a lot about the Tampa Bay quarterback situation, Steve Young and Steve DeBerg. But how about the pressure on Jay Schrader now? He comes in the hot seat last year, replacing Joe Theismann with the broken leg. This year, he knows he's the starting quarterback, and the team is his to win or lose with.
I think, you know, it's unusual that you lose a quarterback like Joe Theismann, and it's amazing nobody talks about Joe Theismann being gone. They all talk about what great 4 young quarterbacks they have in Schrader, Williams, Ripien, and Babe Laffenberg.
It's like he was never there.
It's amazing. They act like he was never in the contest.
Griffin keeps on churning and spins forward down to the 17 in the grasp of number 24, Mike Pryor.
Usually when you lose a guy like Theismann, well, they talk about him all the time. Here it is, pitching to the outside. Look at the pursuit from the inside. And Jeff Davis, I thought, looked like he did an excellent job of warding off the would-be blocker and coming in to make a play, number 58.
The cheering, they've got the wave going here in Tampa Bay. It's 2nd and 6.
Look at a one-on-one on the left side here. See if they try to do business over here.
Schrader, post, open man, tight end, down to the 7-yard line. Clint Didier out of Portland State, 82 catches, averaging about 14 yards per catch last year.
It's a delay with a tight end coming across the middle. The linebackers are coming out. You see Davis going out, and he hits the area between the 2 linebackers and heads upfield and picks up another 4-yard gain after he makes contact, after he gets bumped on the play.
Keep the wave going. There's Didier. 1st and goal from the 7.
If they don't run the ball, this would be a good time to roll out.
Didier motions top of your screen. Keith Griffin with a convoy. Chopped down at the 2-yard line in the grasp of Jeff Davis. You know, with the wave going here, they tell a story in Tampa Bay. I don't know if it's true or not, of a preseason game years ago. And the story goes that the fans were a little unsophisticated at that time. They did the wave when the Bucs were on offense. Coach McKay asked somebody after the game, who's in charge of that? They said it's anonymous. He said, we'll just have to talk to Mrs. Anonymous. Branch, number 20, out of East Carolina, checks in, along with Bedanek out of Maryland. A couple of rookies in the I-back. Touchdown, Washington. Rick Bedanek. He is the Maryland record holder for touchdowns in a season with 16. He had 49 in his career, so they gave the ball to the right guy.
And they ran it to the right spot, too. The overload was to the other side. They ran to the short side of the defense and got a good cavity. There you see a good block, a very good block on Jones, number 22. They knock him to the outside, run inside of him, and he puts the ball in the end zone for the touchdown. It's all over, even though he fumbles. It's all over. Touchdown, Washington Redskins, and now the score is 13-13. As I mentioned earlier, you know, it's deceptive when you look at a score. You see 13 or 14 points. It only means 2 plays away from being back in the game. And right now, they got control of it.
And they've got the lead as Mark Mosley, the veteran out of Stephen F. Austin, the last of the straight-on kickers, puts the Redskins ahead for the first time in the football game. We take time out on Channel 44.
I've always been a winner, on the field and off, right down to the car drive. That's why I went to Sutherland Toyota.
Light prices, better service. Light prices, better service.
Light prices, great price. I can't kick.
Who can't kick?
Nobody kicks about a Sutherland Toyota deal.
Sutherland Toyota? They don't just beat the other guys' prices, they crush them.
Toss it, girl. I never miss.
Ooh.
Hi, this is the next Headroom's pop quiz. Line called, please. Quicker next time. In blind taste tests, which pop drink did more people prefer? The new taste of Coke or Pepsi? Pepsi! Wrong. I love trick questions. Coke. The new taste of Coke. It's true. You heard it here first. Catch the wave. Coke.
Take home the Hot Max Headroom T-shirt for only $3.95 and 8 Coke bottle caps or can tabs. Available at Circle K stores. Listen to 95 YNF for details.
Countdown to kickoff. Channel 44's inside look at the 1986.
With that Calvin McGee fumble, his second consecutive fumble. A nicely engineered Washington Redskin drive. There it is. And that 2-yard run by Buccaneers out of Maryland. He's only carried twice in the entire preseason, both times for touchdowns. One of 10 yards, this one tonight for 2 yards out. The point after by Mark Mosley. And Steve Cox about to kick off with the auto man, Leonard Harris, back deep. Got his nickname when he was with the USFL Denver Gold. There was a television show with a guy driving a black automobile. He was running routes one day in practice, and all of a sudden his nickname was Auto Man off the TV show. Here comes Cox, who approaches, and this one is high. It is end over end, and it is down at the 5 to Leonard Harris. Breaks a tackle at the 15. They've got a wall set up out of bounds at the 28. There's a penalty flag to be checked out. Nathan Wansley, check it. It was Wansley, 46, who was bumped out of bounds, and there's a penalty flag. There is Bob Frederick, the referee.
Got to be holding or something on the play on the part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see what they call.
Offensive holding on the kick return team, number 71, be a 10-yard penalty.
And it is still Steve DeBerg at quarterback, number 17, the veteran out of San Jose State, traded from the Broncos back in '84. 9 of 22, 166 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions for DeBerg.
They came out of the soup a couple of times pretty good on previous situations and only coughed up the ball with fumbles, but they really moved the ball well from this negative area.
Line of scrimmage now, the 14-yard line. Ed Scott comes out wide to the right side. Scott, the leading receiver in preseason, 9 catches, 62 yards. And Len Harris, number 18, top of the screen. Play action fake. DeBerg is in trouble, and down he goes. In the grasp of Dave Butts, and that's some kind of grasp. 6'7", 295. He got away from the Cardinals in '75, and he's been a great one for the Skins.
Well, that was a play action fake that time, and evidently they didn't do any kind of a job at all of holding Butts. He got to penetration, and now the ball's on a 6, 2nd and 19. This is what you don't like. This situation, 2nd and long, is murder.
Butts' shoe size like water skis.
You're right. What are they, like 6?
7, quadruple E.
Yep.
You just go to a leather maker.
The nice thing about him, he likes to go water skiing. He doesn't need skis.
Little trap play, another penalty flag to be checked out. Up at the 16-yard line goes Nathan Wansley out of Mississippi. Alvin Walton, who's been very impressive, the safety out of Kansas, a 3rd-round pick by the Skins, has caused 2 fumbles tonight. Submarine Wansley. George's brother, of course, plays at Indianapolis.
I'm sure they ought to decline the penalty. They're only going to half the distance of the goal, so I would just think they'd decline the penalty if it's against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I would bet it's against the Bucs, who are backing up. 8 males in the Wansley family, all are running backs.
Holding, number 60, 2nd down, will be replayed.
Randy Grimes, the center.
Now they got 2 chances instead of just 1 for 3 yards. I can't understand that call.
2nd and 21. There are the Bucs, backed up by our Channel 44 camera. DeBerg breaks the huddle. There's Wansley, number 46. And the offensive line intact. Yarno and Mallory are the guards. Heller and Powell are the tackles.
They might try to pump one up here and try to get one up on top to get out of the soup. Oh, he's got a chance.
Throws it away. And DeBerg was sacked after he released the ball. Dave Butts came crashing through, and DeBerg helped up by big number 65.
Here's what happens. You see, a lot of times you follow the flight of the ball. You don't see the quarterback. Watch him get a little massage right here. Who is that, Beasley?
That's Butso.
Was that Butts again?
Yep.
Dave Butts, 65. He's like a dump truck falling on you when he gets a shot.
Wouldn't want to make him angry, would you?
I wouldn't think so. Got to pacify him as much as you possibly can. Be nice to him.
I'd send him a copy of your book.
That ought to get him mad.
3rd and 21. They'll play it safe. Nathan Wansley rambles left side, trying to get some punting room up to the 10-yard line in the grasp of Raphael Cherry, second year out of Hawaii. So let's see who comes in to do the punting. It was Garcia, Frank Garcia out of Arizona in the first half. The only time that the Bucs had to punt the ball. Here's the rookie out of North Carolina, Tommy Barnhart. A 40.6-yard average so far in the preseason. Kenny Jenkins is back deep. You get the feeling that next week there'll only be one punter in Miami, don't you? Talking to Lehman. That's a decision he'll make this week. Either Garcia or Barnhart will put the Century 21 sign out in front.
I think we'll have a real scoop if there's two.
Interesting in talking to Lehman how he evaluates. It's not just off of the preseason games. The punters, they put the clock on them and the chains in practice. Barnhart bangs a beauty. It backs Ken Jenkins up at the 42, fumbles the ball, dribbles it to the 45, scampers up to the 47, and down he goes in the grasp of number 54, Irvin Randall. A 52-yard punt. Here's the reaction for Doug Williams, number 17, a former first-round pick of the Bucs, his first action for the Redskins.
Building with the Bucs.
John Cannon for Beacon.
Snap as a Washington Redskin. Opening up to mixed reviews at best. Didier. Williams will throw his first ball as a Redskin. He completes it to James Noble. And a Redskin first down. And those that like Doug Williams rise vocally in his support.
Well, they're saying, see, I told you we should have kept him. Play action pass inside, and you rifle that right out to the outside in good shape. A beautiful throw.
Williams, of course, a holdout, wanted more money, went to the USFL, made some statements for which I'm sure he regrets as far as the Tampa Bay team and fans are concerned, and that's the reason for the vocal discord. Ben's in on 1st and 10 from the 38. Will go airborne again. Same play, batted down at the line of scrimmage. After the Washington Redskins signed Doug Williams, coach, on top of the other statements reportedly attributed to Doug, then he said he was glad to finally be surrounded by some talented players that would know how to win.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about, you know, that kind of a situation. Once you leave an organization, why, there's a lot of things that are said and a lot of things are misconstrued and misrepresented. But I know he had to feel bitter about leaving here, and I think a lot of people felt the same way about his leaving. Plus the fact that
completes it to Didier, flare out on the right side, so he's still got the rifle gun, Craig Curry on the coverage. And of course, aside from the emotional impact of coming back to Tampa Bay, he's got some rust to shake off and dust off because he hadn't played for 14 months.
Watch this delivery. This is the great thing about him. He's got such a quick gun, set up quickly, and he can. It's amazing he's thrown a ball as well as he has. He's been out of football, didn't play last year, but there's no question about it. Don't think this guy doesn't have a lot of talent. If his knee is totally recovered, I guarantee you he's a good quarterback.
3rd and 8 from the 36 of Tampa Bay. Unloads over the middle, drop at the 30-yard line. That's a hot football. Pile up at the 27. Bucs are saying they've got it, and Bob Fredericks' crew says they've got it. Nothing wrong with the way Doug Williams aired it out, but the Bucs defense, Chris Washington and Keith Browner, it's Browner that forces the fumble. Watch 57, Coach.
Watch him come into the picture. He moves out of the pocket a little bit. The catch is right on the money. Watch Browner. See the ball. He jars the ball loose and kind of grabs his arm. The ball slides out of there. And, of course, the Bucs have the recovery fumble and have possession 1st and 10.
Ricky Eastman had a shot at it, but it was Chris Washington who came up with it. There is Doug Williams being congratulated. He moved the team. Certainly can't blame him for the fumble.
Those fumbles are not by accident. They're by design. I think Stanley has done a great job of making sure they understand they got to try to get a turnover anytime they tackle. They got to tackle the ball, and I think they've done an excellent job of that tonight.
DeBerg, play action fake, in trouble, gets out of it, sidearms it, and it's almost picked off at the 39 by Alvin Walton. I'll tell you, of the secondary of the Skins, Alvin Walton's been a hot guy tonight. There he is, number 40, 6 feet, 180 pounds, ineligible last year, third-round pick out of Kansas.
Here's a fake that counter play again, and it's a wonder that Steve had a chance to get rid of the ball as well as he did. The ball was thrown low and a little bit behind, and that's why he was able to make that good defensive reaction and knock the ball down.
Heads-up play by Jimmy Giles. There's a case where the intended receiver turned into the defender and batted it away. DeBerg, 9 of 24, 166 yards. 2nd and 10. Leonard Harris and Phil Freeman are the wideouts, left and right. Calvin McGee, tight end. There it is, Phil Freeman, first catch. Leonard Harris, excuse me, his first catch in preseason action for Tampa Bay.
Fake inside, not a very good fake. The middle is wide open. He throws the ball outside, and Freeman makes the catch and is finally knocked out of bounds by Barry Wilburn, number 45.
Harris averaged almost 19 yards per catch. He had 35 for 657 yards for the Denver Gold, 4 touchdowns as a rookie. Of course, when you're only 5'8", you fit into that run and shoot offense they had pretty well. 101 catches, 1,432 yards on the year. 3rd and 3. DeBerg needs some help. Incomplete at the 40, looking for Phil Freeman. Incomplete. Kelvin Williams back in the coverage, 2nd year out of Iowa State. And Alvin Walton has been all over the field, came up with a loose football. Punting situation again, and we'll see Frank Garcia again. Redskins defense playing a little more inspired, Hank, after they took the lead.
Well, they are, but again, you got to realize they're playing on a different field now. You see the first half, as I mentioned earlier, you know, they didn't have very far to go. Had good field position. Now they're in a soup in the second half, and it's hard to get out of the soup, unless you got a great big spoon and a great big dipper, and they don't have that, so they've had a little trouble in this second half.
Frank Garcia, 4th year out of Arizona, averaging over 41 yards per kick, his longest 48 in the preseason. Will kick it to Kenny Jenkins. 28 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. There is Frank in a battle for the punting spot, along with the rookie Tommy Barnhart out of North Carolina. Garcia backs Jenkins up to the 10, 20, dances to the 25, and that's where the Redskins will start. A 44-yard kick by Garcia. Down in the coverage, Urban Randall, number 54. Doug Williams trots back out again, and he was certainly impressive in his first series, Henry.
And he's going to be impressive. You know, he's a good quarterback. Don't make any mistake about that. He's a good one. And I'm sure he's going to help this Redskin team tremendously as they go along and he gets acquainted and acclimated to the system. Fortunately, he had a taste of the system when he was here with Joe Gibbs. And so as a result, it's like not like going to an entirely new personality offensively. He remembers that, and it won't take him that long to get established from a system standpoint.
Derek Holloway motion to the near side. Williams, soft touch, flips it out. That's Keith Griffin, and he dances up to the 27-yard line. When Doug Williams looks across the line, he'll see 11 familiar faces. There are 11 Tampa Bay Buccaneers left from when he was here. Jerry Bell, Scott Brantley, John Cannon, Jeff Davis, Sean Farrell, Kevin House, Gerald Carter. Doug wanted $600,000 in a 5-year contract. The Bucs were offering about $425. Doug jumped to the USFL, and it's actually his 3rd visit back here to Tampa Bay. Came back twice with his USFL team. Didier in motion, top of the screen. Williams airborne on 2nd and 8. Fires over the middle, and it is caught by Griffin out of the backfield. Dances to the 39. Another Redskin first down.
Did you see him run into the umpire that time? He was trying to get away from the umpire, ran right into him. Watch this now. Watch him run into the umpire. Look, here he comes. Tries to make his cut right into him. Bounces off and still makes the catch.
You know, Hank, I remember last year, Hurricane Elena, you and I were weather-bound here for a couple of days and sitting around the hotel. You predicted a year ago that Doug Williams would sign on with the Washington Redskins.
Yes, I thought he would because of his relationship with Joe Gibbs. And there was a lot of people sniffing around last year about this situation. I thought it would happen sooner, but thought it definitely would happen.
Tipped up and incomplete. Looking over the middle for Derek Holloway, the rookie out of Arkansas, number 91.
And I think people have to realize, if they don't, that I think that Mr. Culverhouse and Johnny McKay, I think they definitely did everything they possibly could. They definitely wanted Doug in the fold. They wanted him to stay here and be the quarterback, but it just didn't work out that way. I think they felt they offered him a fair contract and an excellent contract, but they just couldn't get together with it and lost it. Well, but I don't think there's any question about the fact that Mr. Culverhouse and Johnny McKay definitely wanted him to stay.
Absolutely. And then after that, Doug said, I have the ultimate respect for John McKay, but I hope the Bucs go 0-16. John took offense at that. He said, hey, I'm part of this team too. And he thought he had given all the breaks he possibly could to the young man in helping to develop his career. Up to the 47-yard line. That's Keith Griffin once again.
Watch the counter trey play coming again. Both a left guard and a left tackle pulling on the play and trying to create running room. Ken Huff playing left guard that time, pulling from left to right, along with the tackle.
Kenny Huff in his 12th year out of North Carolina, 6'4", 265, originally a third-round draft pick of the Colts way back in 1975, an All-American high school star. 3rd and 3, and Williams will air it out. Little flare pass, throws it down a rope, and he's got Terry Orr out of Texas. Jackie Walker, the rookie out of Jackson State, was over there in the coverage and wrestled Mr. Orr to the ground. He is 6'3", 227. Tight ends usually don't come out of Texas. They don't throw the ball much down there in Longhorn country, do they?
No, they got cement in the ball there. They don't throw it very often. Throw it a lot in the pregame warm-up, and that's about it.
Walker is down over on the sideline, the rookie who they are very impressed with. 1st and 10 for the Redskins from the 47 of Tampa Bay. Griffin, the lone running back.
1-on-1 on the right side. They go back with the counter play again.
Griffin out of bounds. Danced away from 59 Kevin Murphy, showing good speed turning the corner, and the free safety Craig Curry out of Texas made the hit.
That play is designed to go inside, but he bounced outside. And as you mentioned, Kevin Murphy got out there in good shape and made the play.
13:21 left in preseason. Now, here in the game number 3, there's Griffin and what he's done tonight. Bucs had a 13-0 lead, Hank. Skins have come back. How important in the scheme of things is it for Tampa Bay to come back and win this game after blowing a big lead, or doesn't it matter?
Well, it wasn't a big lead, but I think it's important. I think it's important that you win a game in preseason. And if things don't change here dramatically, they're going to lose their 3rd preseason game. And it's a lot more fun to practice, a lot more fun to plan, a lot more fun to get ready for a season when you've won a couple of games rather than going in 0-4. Then you wonder whether you're ever going to win a game. I never forget Lamar Hunt. Lamar Hunt one year saying to me, we had won, and had great years. And I never forget after the Super Bowl year, we won the first game. And Lamar said, well, congratulations. Now we can't go 0-14. And I looked at him kind of funny, and I thought, that's quite a reaction, but it's true. You know, you never know, and especially if you don't win a game at all, and then you go into the first game, lose that one, you lose 5 in a row. It's tough.
From the 32, Doug Williams sends Didier in motion, 1st and 10. He'll go up top again. Fires, got his man at the 28-yard line. That's Didier again. Well, you know, go back to the preseason. Don't be too unhappy if you're a Buccaneer fan, because Lehman Bennett, back in 1980, his team was only 1-3, the Falcons, in preseason, but that year they went on and won the NFC West with a 12-4 record. Already this year in preseason, Shula's Dolphins are 0-2. Dallas is 0-4 after last night.
Well, I tell you, Miami is 0-2 because they're not very good. That's why they're 0-2. You look at Shula's schedule and season in the past, they lose very, very few preseason games. This is very exceptional for a Don Shula team, which means they're not very good so far.
There goes Vidanik out of Maryland. He has the touchdown run that put the Redskins ahead. You were scouting Dallas and Pittsburgh last night on TV. It was about 7-7, and the next thing you knew, you're looking at the test pattern.
That's right. I was working on the bed sores.
Line of scrimmage, the 25 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Redskins in control of this game, 14-13.
You know, the great thing about Doug Williams, you know, when he was here, he's doing the same thing. Look at the way he throws the ball, and, you know, he throws them like a frozen rope, and they're right at that number. Those short patterns, boy, they're right on the number. That's where they have to be thrown. He does that extremely well.
Doug is 5 out of 7, 36 yards. 3rd and 3 to keep the drive alive. Up top. Got his man. Dances out of bounds at the 16.5-yard line. That's James Noble, the rookie out of Stephen F. Austin.
See, it's deceptive. When he throws the ball, it gets there very quickly. The rotation of the ball is very tight. RPMs, look at it. Look at that thing fly. And even though the defensive back is covered him pretty well, watch him now. He's got the ball up there in good shape. Steps and throws. Good protection. There's no rush again. We talked about that last week, and right now he's throwing quick enough where there is no rush, but he's throwing the ball right on the trolley line, getting it right at the numbers.
1st and 10. Washington from the 17. Holloway down at the bottom of your screen. The rookie out of Arkansas.
Here he goes.
Williams has got it, and Holloway drops it at the 16-yard line. Short preparation time for Doug Williams. You know, the Redskins training facility in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Doug had to get there from his hometown of Zachary, Louisiana last week, and it wasn't an easy trek. He started out at 10:30 in the morning. He drove 30 miles to the Baton Rouge airport. He flew from Baton Rouge to Memphis, Memphis to St. Louis, St. Louis to Chicago, Chicago to Harrisburg. Then he rented a car and drove 30 miles. He got to camp at 7 o'clock at night.
Where does luggage go?
Luggage is still in Baton Rouge.
That's right.
What's that airline? Wings of a Prayer. 2nd and 10. Scampers out to the left side. Dumps it off incomplete at the 12-yard line, looking for Derek Holloway.
I can't understand this close to the end zone why they're throwing so short. You'd think they try to get somebody in the end zone that time. They're all squeezing in tight. One outside of the numbers, one inside the numbers, one in the middle between the hash marks, but nobody was going deep to stretch the defense, especially in this short area.
With Doug Williams seeing action, we saw Mac Boatner for the Bucs. If Reggie Brown gets in earlier, number 30 for Tampa Bay, the entire Arizona outlaw backfield of last year will be out on the field tonight. They need 10 to keep the drive alive.
A trap would be good down right up the middle. Boy, that middle was wide open.
Little curl out, and it's complete. Near sideline, not enough for a first down. That's Kelvin Bryant. You know, everybody conceding, Hank, that Jay Schroeder is the quarterback after he stepped in for Theismann. What would it take for a Doug Williams to come in and take that starting quarterback job away?
For Schroeder to not play well enough in the first game, I guarantee if he doesn't play well in the first game or doesn't play well in the next game, they wouldn't be afraid to go with this guy. He's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of ability. It wouldn't take long because I think they have a lot of confidence in him, and I think they think he's going to be able to help an awful lot, talking about Joe Gibbs.
Last of the straight-on kickers. Mosley shanks it wide to the right side. Now let's see if it was partially blocked or not. Skins tried to take a 4-point lead and force the Bucs to need a touchdown to win, but Mosley, who was pressured for the job, misses from relatively short distance. We take time out on Channel 44. Hank, I guess 15 season takes its toll. He just shanked it.
He sure did. He kicked a knuckleball. Look at it squirt way off to the right side.
Mark Mosley, 28 points behind Lou Groza.
Might have had some peanut butter on his foot. Shoot.
There is Steve Young, who comes in with 10:46, and like he did against the Falcons, a chance to win the football game tonight against the Redskins. Nathan Wansley dances across the 25 up near the 28-yard line. Monty Coleman in his 8th year out of Central Arkansas, and Dave Butts, who's still in there on the tackles for the Redskins. DeBerg, final stats tonight. 10 of 26, 173 yards, 1 touchdown. That gave the Bucs a 13-0 lead. 2 interceptions for Steve DeBerg.
Wansley, had a good visit with him. I said, what is your favorite food? He said, soup. Chicken noodle soup, and also like fried chicken.
I'd say the same answer applies for you. You've only had 3 bowls tonight.
Well, that's all they had. I like anything.
2nd and 2. Steve Young, the southpaw. Wansley again hammers across the 30 for a first down.
They handled Butts that time in good shape. Grimes is still playing the center spot. Watch the shot here. Look at Butts being blocked to the inside in good shape, created a good hole. And I don't know whether that was Mallory or not.
Here's the penalty.
Offensive holding, number 77. Second down will be replayed.
The rookie out of Maryland, J.D. Marleyville, the culprit on that play. Coach is a little concerned that he had a rather lethargic week of practice. 45,000 plus. They were hoping for a big walk-up with Doug Williams' return. As far as the ticket sales, all the $6 seats were sold out early.
I talked to Herb Gold on the field before the game. He was all smiles. He said it looked like we're going to have 50 here tonight. And it looks like he's right.
And you tried to sell a copy of your book to all 45,000. You had that Visa and MasterCard out there. Sliding to the 18-yard line goes Nathan Wansley, signed as a free agent. Lehman Bennett very excited about Wansley. Said he's a tough little bugger. He's got thighs as big as Lehman's waist. Tough to bring down.
That's pretty big.
There's Lehman, hoping that Steve Young can engineer a winning drive and give the Bucs a preseason victory after his team lost a 13-0 lead. Nathan Wansley, his father, a mechanic. Nathan says he'll work on cars, boats. 6 defensive backs in for the Skins. 3rd and 14. Steve Young facing a lot of pressure. Motion by Freeman. Young to the 23, well shy of first down yardage. Freeman on the reception, and the coverage by number 37, Raphael Cherry out of Hawaii.
I can never understand that kind of a play because you're looking for you know, a long yardage situation, and you think, you know, you send 3 guys at least down there beyond the area where you need the yardage and try to get the ball to them, so you're going to get a first down if you do catch the ball.
Second punt of the night for Barnard. His first run was a beauty, 52 yards in the battle with Frank Garcia. Kenny Jenkins, number 31, is back deep. Jenkins in his 4th year out of Bucknell, 5'8", 185 pounds. 3 punt returns for 53 yards and a 17.7-yard average coming in. Barnhart hangs it up high. It does not turn over. It's a short kick, and it goes out of bounds at the 47-yard line of the Washington Redskins. So the Bucs have 2 timeouts. The Redskins all 3. We're at the 8-minute mark of the 4th quarter, and the Redskins have come back from a 13-0 deficit. They lead the Bucs by 1.
All I want today is a little Circle K. I want it on my way, want it open night and day. Gotta have it fast, a little past the tank of gas. Don't give me no line, don't waste my time, cause all I want today is a little Circle K. All you want today is sitting on the corner at your Circle K. All you want today is sitting on the corner at your Circle K.
Field position advantage, and I'll give you those stats in just a moment. It's interesting.
The ball carrier is number 26 around that right side. That's Rick Bajanic out of Maryland. He's got the touchdown carry. Blocking by Mark May, Russ Grimm, Raleigh McKenzie. Stats?
Well, you know, in the second half now, the first half, Tampa had the advantage field position-wise. They had to go 159 yards in the first half compared to 246 for Washington. Second half, they have had to go 377 yards compared to 248 for the Washington Redskins, and that always makes a big difference.
Line of scrimmage, the 47-yard line of the Bucs on 2nd and 4. Doug Williams, 10 of 14, 68 yards. Little dive play over the left side, doesn't show much. Blocking there by the rookie out of Tulane, Ron Tilton, who co-captained the Green Wave. He is 6'4", 270 pounds, and he's a local product out of Plant High School. He was a Panther there, and Joe Gibbs says he's just on the verge of making the Redskin roster.
The penalty on the play against the Redskins.
There's Bob Frederick, the referee.
Illegal formation on the offense, number 87, illegally lined up. Second down will be repeated.
So that will back the Redskins up. They had a conference call this week, Doug. They put Doug Williams on the hot seat for the local media here in Tampa Bay, and Doug said that he didn't have anything to prove to the Buccaneer organization or the Buccaneer fans because he felt like he'd done his share in the 5 years that he was there. Conversely, he said he does have something to prove to the Redskin organization and to Joe Gibb to repay Joe for the faith that he showed in him.
With all the hoopla and all the ballyhoo about his coming back, which is natural, the only thing he's worried about is doing a good job to impress the coaches, to make this football team, to make a contribution. That's the only thing he's concerned about.
Look at that arm, and it is almost picked off at the 40-yard line. James Noble pulled it in. It was bounding around up there like a hot potato, and Noble just took it away from the cover man.
And watch again how quickly the ball gets there. Watch it. Look at him set up. Pass protection is good. Stays in the pocket. And look at him rifle the ball. And look, it goes right over the top of that linebacker or defensive back. And Noble is able to make the catch.
Roderick Fisher was there in the coverage, a pickup of 12. It was actually deflected. You talk about the great concentration of Noble. Number 43, Ray Bentley, former USFL linebacker who played in Michigan for Jim Stanley out of Central Michigan, deflected the ball. Noble just looked it in. 1st and 10. Redskins from the 40 of Tampa Bay. Griffin down at the 36-yard line of the Bucs.
Griffin made a mistake that time. He made the catch and then turned all the way around to head upfield. He should have made the catch and came right up the field as fast as he possibly could. He lost some valuable time. Watch him now. Throwing to the left, 35, Griffin. Watch, he goes all the way around. Instead of turning to his inside and getting upfield immediately, he goes all the way around, a little ring around the rosy. By the time he got righted and up the field, a lot of pursuit came from the inside out, and that's why he didn't make more yardage on the play than he did.
There is Ray Bentley, the 6'3", 245-pound linebacker, trying to make it. Have to excel on specialty teams. Got a tip from Jay Shoup, the trainer. Little dive. Griffin working on the clock down to the 33-yard line in the grasp of Kevin Murphy. Murphy, the rookie out of Oklahoma, 2nd-round pick. There's the time left. The Bucs with 2 timeouts. The Redskins with 3. Of course, if they get it down in field goal range and Mosley makes one, then Tampa Bay needs a touchdown, Henry.
Right. Bryant is in the game right now, and they love him as a receiver. They think he's going to be fantastic, and they'll try to negotiate, I would think, if they throw the ball, which I think rather going to run the ball maybe. But anyway, whatever they do, they want to negotiate the ball to Bryant as much as they possibly can.
Williams gets his first down. He's got it out to James Noble, and Noble breaks it down to about the 23-yard line. The emotion of Doug Williams. No longer number 12. He's wearing Billy Kilmer's old jersey.
I tell you, watch, he fakes inside. Not much of a fake, but look at the way he whistles the ball, even when he was falling away that time, and gets it right on the money. And gets the necessary yardage for the first down.
Kind of funny to see Williams, who's got a rifle-like arm, number 17. When Kilmer wore that number, of course, it was like the Goodyear blimp. It just kind of floated in there like dying ducks.
Every shot looked like the last shot of the Roman candle.
Doug is now 13 out of 17, 94 yards. From the 22, Kelvin Bryant will score.
You see how easy he made that run look?
Ken Huff, the 12-year veteran out of North Carolina, number 61, threw the big block.
Watch how easy he made this run look. Look at it. Takes a step. Watch Huff, 61, make a block. Look at change gears. Look at this. Change his direction. It's the bye-bye Blues. It's in the end zone. But look how easy he made that run look. Here it is again. Counter play. Watch Huff, 61, make a block. McQuaid is going through the hole. Look at him cut back. This is just great running. A screen block downfield on the defensive safety. But in spite of that, he goes into the end zone for the touchdown.
Penalty flag is down, as is Mark Mosley, who was run into. So there'll be a roughing the kicker call against Tampa Bay. Big extra point because it'll take the Bucs out of a tying situation. They will trail by 8 with 4:58 left on the clock. Bob Frederick, the referee, staying over at the hotel. He caught a few rays by the pool this afternoon again.
I wondered who that snowman was over there.
You had the old olive oil on again.
Yes,
Point is
sir.
good. Personal foul. Running into the kicker. 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
They wouldn't let me, lifeguard wouldn't let me go in the pool, said it was too much grease.
Be an oil slick. I thought a tanker had cracked open.
That's right. That's what Mr. Steinbrenner thought.
8-point lead for the Skins. Bucks ball when we come back.
Attention, Church's Fried Chicken and up.
2-yard touchdown scamper by Kelvin Bryant capped it off. And Doug Williams, 13 out of 17, 94 yards. Pretty impressive debut as a Washington Redskin. Of course, his old mentor here with the Bucs, Joe Gibbs, now the head coach, showing renewed faith in the young man.
And those statistics do not surprise you in the least. He's that kind of a quarterback.
Here is Cox from the 40 after the 5-yard roughing the kicker penalty has been assessed, and Nathan Wansley rambles back to the 18. You know, Hank, in looking at Doug Williams' performance, 13 out of 17, he has looked as good as Neil Lomax, the starting quarterback of the Cardinals. We saw him 3 weeks ago. He's looked as good as Archer of the Falcons. He looked better than Jay Schroeder.
Well, I don't think he looked as good as Lomax or Archer. I think he looked a lot better than both of them. And I'll be very surprised if he continues to play like he has. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he doesn't take over that quarterback spot. And I'll make another prediction. I'll guarantee you that Kelvin Bryant will be the starting running back in that backfield before too long.
Well, you talked about the Skins forgetting about Theismann. They'll forget about Riggins if Bryant can run like that all season long. Running is Reggie Brown, the ex-Oklahoma Outlaw. So we've seen the entire starting backfield reunited in various forms. Mac Boatner, Doug Williams, and now Reggie Brown.
Reggie Brown takes the handoff in good shape, good contact at the point of attack. A good block on number 77, Darrell Grant. A very good tackle, but they got right by him in good shape.
Steve Young would like to put a touchdown on the board quickly. He's got his man up in Redskin territory. Herky Walls out of Telsis. And it's Barry Wilburn on the coverage.
And Steve Young hung in the pocket well that time and threw the ball right over the coverage. Stepped and threw and got good protection on the play.
And they go to the 2-minute hurry-up offense at the 4-minute mark. They're down by 8. They need a touchdown, the ball back, and a field goal.
It's a good move. Here's a counter play.
Goes off to Reggie Brown. Chops his way down to the 45. Monty Coleman, the veteran out of Central Arkansas, 8 years after an 11th-round draft pick way back in '79.
It's a nice visit with George Steinbrenner today. You know, he's a delightful guy. He came to Purdue-Skis after I left, I think in 1943. He went to Purdue in 43 and then came back after I left again in 55, was there in 56.
Steve Young throws it a little bit behind the intended receiver, Herky Walls. Well, George was having lunch over at his hotel the other day with Gabe Paul, ex-general manager of the Yankees and the Indians, and Cedric Tallis. Maybe Lou Piniella might put the Century 21 sign out front. I know.
No, I don't think so. I think talking to George today, we talked about his baseball team, and of course he'd like to be first, but he's second, and I think as long as he owns the Yankees, they'll always be a contending team and be right there knocking on the door, and they're going to win more than their share because I think he's one of the very best in the business.
I'll tell you what, I think George Steinbrenner would be a very interesting owner in the National Football League.
He'd be a great owner. He really would be.
He would turn a team around right away. Incomplete. The intended receiver, Herky Walls, slipped down.
The only thing about George is I wish he'd be a little bit more direct than being so subtle.
Yeah, the thing is you're never quite sure where you stand with George.
That's what you love about him. You know exactly where you stand all the time talking to him. He doesn't give you any tap dance. He puts it right on the table.
Well, I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. A few years ago when I did the CBS Morning News, we did a piece with George in his office up at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And, you know, to read the New York newspapers, you'd think that he was with Hitler in the Third Reich, but he's really one of the warmest and most hospitable men you'll ever come across. He's a terrific sportsman, and he's got great knowledge, not just in baseball.
Well, and of course, he sees all the Bucs games. You know, he loves football and watches the games as much as he possibly can in his office possible.
Incomplete at the 37-yard line, looking for Mark Whitty, the tight end out of North Texas State. Incomplete, and the Bucs will turn the ball over just about at the 46-yard line of the Redskins. Todd Bowles, the rookie out of Temple, who has a big interception here tonight for the Washington Redskins. There he is. Broke his arm, missed half of last year, came back, fighting for a spot on the Redskin roster. So we've got 3:12 left to go in the third preseason game on Channel 44. Next week, the preseason comes to a conclusion. Half-hour show, countdown to kickoff, Randy Scott. And then at 8 o'clock next Friday night, Hank and I live from Miami. Motion by Terry Orr out of Texas. And that is the youngster out of Maryland, Bedanek. Erwin Randall on the hit defensively for the Bucs. Well, Lehman Bennett talked about the importance of winning one of his last 2 preseason games, and the Orange Bowl is a pretty tough place to win at any time.
It really is, and especially when you're playing against Marino and company.
I don't think Marino will look any better than Doug Williams did tonight. Can't throw the ball any better.
No, I don't think so. I don't know how you could throw it any better than Doug has thrown it tonight.
Slot formation to the right side. Derek Holloway, number 91. He's in the slot. Outside is Marvin Williams out of Fullerton State. Bedanek again tracks it down to the 45-yard line. You can hear that collision way up here. Futrell, 36, in on the hit, along with number 56 again. Jackie Walker was back there. Thoughts on Steve Young? Steve DeBerg had a good 2.5 quarters, I guess. Steve Young given the ball with about 8-9 minutes left in the 4th quarter. We'll get Hank's thoughts on Steve Young and the quarterback battle when we come back. We're at the 2-minute warning in Tampa Bay. Bucs losing to the Redskins by 8.
When you're on vacation,
Redskins need a tough yard to keep the ball with 2 minutes left. They will not get it, so the Bucs and Steve Young will get another opportunity. Paul Vogel, the first Tampa Bay Buccaneer to arrive, and it'll be a punting situation for the Washington Redskins. Tampa quickly takes a timeout and stops the clock with 1:49 left. So Hank and I will be right back on Channel 44. Don't forget, in 1 week, we're live from the Orange Bowl, Friday night at 8.
Building with the Bucs.
John Cannon for Beacon Homes.
Here in Beacon.
And there comes Steve Young, a perfect opportunity for the 2-minute drill.
We talked about kicking left with a right-footed kicker. You know, if you try to kick left with a right-footed kicker, and even if it slides off the side of your foot, you're going to hit the ball right down the middle of the field. It isn't a wasted kick. If you try to kick it out of bounds to the right and it slides off your foot, you get a bad kick, it goes out of bounds, and the other team has a lot better field position. So that's why basically, you know, the right-footed kicker should basically always try to kick it out of bounds left.
We saw the big right arm of George Yarno, 6'2", 265, still in there. Grimes the center, Marley Veld, Mallory on the right side, Taylor the tackle, replacing Marvin Powell. Young got his man up at the 23-yard line. Phil Freeman out of Arizona, upended by Kevin Williams. Clock still winding down, 1:30 left to go.
I tell you, Young's got good anticipation, too. He got rid of the ball in good shape that time, anticipating the break of the receiver. But again, I like his staying in the pocket. It looks like he's a lot more patient, a lot more poised than he has been the last 2 weeks. Here he hangs in there again.
And he's got Ed Scott, who was the leading receiver for the Bucs. 9 catches, 62 yards. Sean Burks, the rookie out of LSU, on the coverage. Speaking of anticipation, as Tampa Bay takes their final time out, who do you anticipate will be the starting quarterback for Tampa Bay when the 49ers come in here?
Oh, I think it's going to be DeBerg. I really do, unless something dramatic happens the next week. But I think DeBerg, you know, has a total command of the offense. He's got so much experience, and I think, you know, every thought and action should be directed to how are we going to win the game. You know, we got to win the game, and you got to go with the 11 best people at that particular time. Now, if he doesn't, then you got to get the hook and get him out. But I think basically right now, I would be very surprised if DeBerg doesn't start the first game against the 49ers.
Well, even last week against Atlanta, there were several of the starting players that said that they just have more confidence at this point. That was even before the second preseason game in DeBerg than Steve Young, who's still a little bit tentative, a little bit nervous.
Yeah, but you can't let the players decide who the quarterback's going to be. You know, the coach has to make that decision. I think a great illustration of that was demonstrated a few years ago when Tom Landry let his team determine who was going to be the starting quarterback and dumped White and played Hogaboon, and you know, it was a disastrous move. And then after it's all over with, then the players say, well, what do we know about it? You don't have to listen to us. That was just our opinion.
Young out of the pocket. Scrambles, can run for the first down, dives to the 44. I think that move by Landry, and I'm not sure the Dallas organization is quite recovered from all of that turmoil.
I couldn't believe that move, and there was a great illustration of letting the inmates run the asylum. You can't let it happen. You got to control it. You got to believe what you believe and do what you believe. And if that's what you believe, well, then go ahead and do it. Don't worry about it.
Bucks are out of timeouts. Can only stop the clock on an incompleted pass or getting it out of bounds, and that's exactly where number 14, Ed Scott, goes at the 48-yard line of Tampa Bay. Barry Wilburn was doing the bucking Bronco act. Now in Dallas, you've got a situation where you've got almost an identical, well, turmoil between Herschel Walker and Tony Dorsett. Dorsett's not happy with all the money Herschel gets.
Well, and justifiably so. You know, how are you going to play two guys, two great stars in the same backfield? As I mentioned earlier, you know, one guy has been used to carry the ball 25 and 30 times. Now you reduce it. If both of them are going to play, they're going to carry it 12, 15 times apiece. So what good does it do? You know, I just think it's impossible for two stars to play in the same backfield.
Bucks might have had the same problem, Henry, had they signed Bo Jackson.
You're right, although they were going to use him more as a receiver.
Steve Young hurls his frame forward to about the 43-yard line of Washington. But, of course, the clock continues to run.
This is the great thing about Young. See, he makes plays on his own because he's got such great scrambling ability. But I think I was pleased the way he stayed in the pocket tonight.
Young will stop the clock right there. 11 seconds left to go. Well, off of what you've seen tonight, some decisions will have to be made by Lehman Bennett as they will slice the roster down on Tuesday afternoon. They'll get down to the 50-man limit. So some decisions will have to be made in the area of wide receiver, running back, tight end, and then the waiver wires have to be checked out, Henry, to see who might be available. I think the Bucks are still, to be honest, looking for another running back that can complement James Wild.
Well, I think they need that, but I think in conjunction with that, I think the biggest concern defensively, they're stopping the run in great shape. They're still not getting any pressure on the quarterback. They haven't had a sack here tonight. They've only had 3 sacks all season in the 3 seasons, so I think that's got to be a concern. They've got to be able to rush the passer.
Young will throw it halfway down Dale Mabry, incomplete at the 5-yard line. And barring a penalty, we've got one more play coming up in preseason game number 3.
And they'll do the same thing again this time, throw it up for grabs and hope they can get a play, pass interference or something to get a score before the end of the game. I'm sure they put 3 more guys on the outside again, let them streak down the field and hope for a big play.
Well, the play is being carried in by Herky Walls, number 10. There is Lehman Bennett, the Bucks coaching staff, nervously chewing the gum over on the sideline. We'll have to get ready for Don Shula and the Dolphins. You'll see that game live on Channel 44 next week. Airtime 8 o'clock, pregame show at 7:30.
There they are, 3 of them lined up on the left side again.
Go down to the fire hydrant and turn left.
Oh, he throws it down here.
Incomplete at the goal line, looking in the general direction of Carl Williams amidst a host of defenders. Joe Gibbs and the Redskins come into Tampa Bay. They fell behind 13-0. They come out with an 8-point win. Gibbs and the Redskins up their preseason record to 2.
Kickoff return by Phil Freeman. So that's where we are now. 3rd down, about 7 yards to go. The Tampa Bay offense, Steve Young, Ron Springs, James Wilder in the backfield. House, Carter, and Giles are the receivers. Up front, Marvin Powell, Yarno, Grimes, Farrell, a good one, and so is Ron Heller on the right side. Nickel defense in there now for Los Angeles. 3rd down and 7. The ball is on the 35-yard line. Farrell, Carter in motion, and then back again to the top of the screen. Young to throw. It's a dash. He'll pull up. And it's incomplete on the sideline. That was Leroy Irvin, who did not start this game because he has a shoulder injury, a pinched nerve, but he made a fine defensive play there in the nickel situation, and that's the only time we'll see him out there this afternoon is when the Rams are in their nickel. So that'll bring up a 4th down and a punting situation now for Tampa Bay. It'll be Frank Garcia, who is standing at about his 20-yard line. Mickey Sutton, number 49, first-year player, former USFLer, is at his 30. Garcia with a 42-yard average this year. Gets a high boomer. Sutton will take it at about the 27-yard line, break 1 tackle, and get near the 35 before he's brought down. A 38-yard kick and a 7-yard return. Quarterbacking the Rams today, making his first start since 1983, is Steve Dills, his first start in a Rams uniform. And the defense he faces will be John Cannon, David Logan, and Tyrone Keys up front. That's a change.
Yes, he's starting in